So we'd like to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order at 6:13 p.m. Sorry. If I could, roll call attendance, please.
Mary Jane Churchville here.
David Walker here.
Dan Grant here.
Carol Bazookas here. Carol House is here.
Don Hayes here. We have a quorum. We are ready to go. This meeting is being recorded. It will be played back on Channel 9 as well as posted onto the YouTube channel. At this point, is anybody else recording this meeting? No one being heard, so nobody else is recording the meeting. We're good to go. Additions or deletions. In our work session, I would like to add one more line. We did get a correspondence late Friday or on Friday from the posting after we had posted and within the 24 hours of the meeting, as yesterday was a holiday, and that's regarding the request for reserve fund transfer.
Was that Dave's? What was that transfer? Is that your?
That is where
The snow and ice.
it's for the snow and ice.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Don, can you just minimize that?
Yeah.
distance?
I'm back and forth between a couple of them here.
There.
Okay, so that's first one we'll go to. We'll just wanted to hit that discussion before we get to the omnibus and recap. Yeah. Okay, and then we did have the review of the warrant articles. I put it on here. Do we want to change the order that we're addressing them? Do we want to look at the warrant articles first, answer some questions here?
No, I think we're okay with the order you've got.
Okay, that being said, we'll move on to the work session and take a look at the reserve fund transfer. It's not in any of the papers. It came out very late.
Oh, it just came out this afternoon. Oh, it's a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, it was mentioned last Friday. I wanted to get clarity on it. So I forwarded it 4:45 this afternoon. So.
Oh, okay. That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah, so it kind of. So the first thing we'll hit here is the question for the committee and to address is an approximately $16,000 snow and ice deficit that won't be covered by free cash. So they're looking for a reserve fund transfer.
From us?
From us, yeah. So the reserve fund that we had, the $50,000.
Right. That went down to 40.
Yeah,
No, it's 40,
Oh,
it's 50 now.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's 50 now.
And that's kind of what this reserve fund is for, right?
Well, that's the piece. It's kind of like this is the first time everybody's hitting it. Most 50% of us are hitting it.
Right.
It's kind of like so. I wanted to make sure. So we have the handbook where you can look at the reserve fund. I brought from Mass General Law. I did bring up. Pull it up a little bit if I can.
It's not a whole lot of money to.
Yeah. Right. I've seen some things that said if you're doing it for something that's normal business, you would take it to town meeting. But I did pull up and I have the link for the general law, and I didn't see anything in here that specifically says that it needs to go to town meeting, and we've never done them in the past. But as we read it, it's something that is unknown at the time of the, when we do the budget and pass the budget last May and then later in October, in August, when we ran it. So this is unexpected. We've used more snow. Used more monies than we have from free cash right now, because we had a couple of free cash articles at the last town meeting that moved 281,000 out of free cash.
Right,
So that would normally be available and it's unavailable at this point.
right.
Oh, so it usually comes from free cash.
It would
because
usually
we've
come
already-
from-
okay.
Because
Yeah.
And we're taking a lot of it from free cash, we
Yeah.
just don't have enough to cover the full amount.
the full
Right.
amount.
Yeah, I would say that's legitimate.
Okay.
Do we take a motion or is
We
it
would,
just
we
talking?
would take a motion, you, generally, let's see. if I can-
We'll try this one from the beginning, because it doesn't sound close to me.
Okay, well, we'll go back, we can have more discussion, but I started, I only had, the reserve fund transfer, form that we have would be filled out where it's coming from, so, Jim.
Oh, so that the department head would request it from us.
Requested from us, and so, but this is the first time that we hadn't seen it before, so. I
So he
don't-
didn't get around to asking us yet, is that the case?
He hasn't submitted the form yet. The request is in for.
So how do we know he needs it?
Because it was in the email from Nelson. If we look at,
The email that he forwarded to us with the
Request.
budget, the, this file and the recap sheet file had that in there.
had the request.
He had, he kind of outlined,
Mhm.
or because there was also a form there was also a file in there that was the state of the free cash.
Oh.
And it showed where it all got, where it all got
I remember.
sent, and it showed that, with the current state of the snow and ice expenditures, there's not enough in free cash to cover the total snow and ice expenditure.
Cause we only have $18,000, right?
Well, no,
It's got us a negative
it's
16,000.
basically avoided, it's basically,
Oh,
all the free cash is used, and there's still 16,000, several hundred that has to be covered for the snow and ice.
So nice.
okay, so that's 16 and 16 from us?
No, that's the 16 that they need from
So
us.
it's the 291. Let me see if I.
Is
I'm
it,
good.
is
I
it
get
this
it. I get
is it this remaining balance of 1646?
Yep.
16,046.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it does have the number for the snow and ice transfer in there, the two,
Mhm, it did.
is it?
It's,
Oh, is that that's
so
the
that's
free
the
cash
free
sheet?
cash sheet.
Yeah,
So, what we've got here is the total snow and ice deficit is 307,704. They have free cash of 291,658. So the deficit that we need for, the transfer is the 16,046.
so if we don't have the form yet, then all we really can do tonight is vote to say, if you send us the form, we will approve it.
Well, we can do that. We can vote to approve it because we know it's coming.
Okay,
They haven't seen the form. The form isn't posted on the finance page anywhere. It is a form that people usually get around from someone.
okay,
So I'm thinking this is the time to get it posted onto the finance website so that people can
Yeah.
get the form, request it, complete it,
Oh, yeah,
and fill it in and send it to us.
absolutely.
So and again, we can make that motion without the form. There's only one signature required, which is the finance. If I go to the bottom of the form, the finance committee, chairman is
Oh, so we're authorizing you to sign
to
the
sign
form.
for,
So that should be the
Right.
motion.
so that,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so we can, and generally,
so Sam, did we answer your questions or not? On that, so you wanted,
The discussion does not fit the definition. The first one he gave us and the one of our definition at the top of this page.
Okay, but let's get the full definition. It's kind of like to provide for extraordinary and unforeseen expenditures that a town of that the town may at an annual or special town meeting appropriate or transfer a sum not exceeding the aggregate of 5%. So that's just setting up the fund, and 50,000 is way less than 5% of the town budget. No direct drafts can be taken from the fund, which means if we approve it, we have to do a transfer and take it from our fund and move it into the other account.
Did
So
you
that they
say
can-
50 or 40?
50.
If
40
50
is next
if
year.
we're in
Okay,
FY 25,
okay.
so FY 25, we are at 50,000.
Mhm.
And it says, but transfers from the fund may be made from time to time, voted by the finance or appropriation committee in the town, and we are the finance committee. If the town having such a committee, in other towns by selectmen, and the town accountants in the town, such official, in the other towns, auditor, auditors shall make transfers accordingly. So those are the people that are gonna do the transfers, so there's really nothing that, if, this is unforeseen because there's no more free cash available. Normally, we would have free cash available to make this transfer.
Normally we should, and this year we should too, except for the last time, special town meeting.
Right.
When it was, appropriately appropriated.
Right, the motions on the floor were made based on the balance at that time. The balance on the snow and ice has gone up as additional items have hit that line, and that's why it's now exceeded it.
Well, I'll back everybody here, whichever way y'all wanna go.
Okay, I'll make the motion, that we grant the request of it's the highway department.
It will be for highway, yes. Snow and
The
ice.
highway department for the unforeseen expenses for snow and ice, and to authorize Chairman Hayes to sign the request on our behalf.
Did you write that all
I
down?
did.
Can I copy?
I'll second it.
So we had a motion and a second. The amount wasn't in there, but it will be the 16,046. I didn't hear the amount.
Oh, I didn't say it.
That's okay.
Oh,
It's kinda like
okay.
we're just.
16,000, I'll add it,
Okay.
the 16,046
Mhm.
to,
That's a little way to run a railroad.
request.
If anybody else wants the links, I can follow, send the links out for places where
You get it, Kim?
Chairman, and to authorize Chairman,
Hayes.
Hayes. What do we authorize? Oh,
To
to
sign the request.
sign the request. Request in the amount of, in the.
16,046.
Thank you, Mary Jane.
Teamwork. Makes the dream work.
okay, so the motion was made by Mary Jane, and seconded by
Gerald.
Ken. So this will be our first one for the year. Some of the request numbers, I do remember them. These are on the actual, don't expect that many, but this is a little bit of tracking and making sure that they're numbered in, and we sorry, just saving that so I can go back and print it. Jim did. to do. Okay, thank you. So that helps with it, and it gets us to, when we get to the warrant, the special town meeting warrant, we'll see that the amount that they transfer. No, it's article, I think, which is article
We
2.
gotta vote. on
And
it.
it's just that 291.
We have to vote.
Okay, so I sent,
Oh, we have to vote.
oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah, it's down. Yeah, okay, so,
Yep.
we had the motion in the
Thank
second.
you.
Any further questions on the reserve fund transfer before we vote? Okay, none, the questions being heard, the yes vote will authorize us to transfer the $16,041 from reserve fund and
46.
46, thank you. Next up,
Mary Jane Churchville, yes.
David Walker, yes.
Dan Grant, yes.
Carol Bozak, yes.
Carol Hoff says yes.
Don Hayes, yes, unanimous, we will submit that and then forward it to town to make the transfer. So that piece will be done, and
In any balance at the end of the year, does that just go to free cash next year?
for free cash certification, correct.
Any balance on our,
Reserve
On the
fund.
reserve fund, yeah.
Can we get it back? You know what I mean? Because we gave 10 up.
We did give 10 up, and as I've been doing some of this investigation into this request, I did read that when you go into a tight budget year, generally the reserve fund is increased during those years, because your anticipation is that with all the cuts, you might have more requests for additional transfers over the year. So that's something we hadn't considered, but
I did, no offense, that's why we pushed it up to 50.
that's why we boosted it up to 50, and again, maybe this year.
And we proved that this one year.
But it doesn't mean that we can't, when free cash is certified,
Mhm.
at a special town meeting after certification, see if we're using it at a high level. See if we can put more.
Well, it doesn't normally come into use until now, and the next month or two. Actually, yeah, the May and June.
Those that are heavy use periods, yes,
Yes.
and then the municipal transfers.
That's that.
Okay, so then we had received the omnibus funds.
Yeah.
So, get it all going and.
This is yours,
Thank you.
but you have to put it together. This is page 1, this is page 2, this is the opposite, okay? But they are numbered, they have the number on.
It's a task. Task.
Okay.
Oh, do you have the agenda?
I always think that's.
Good girl.
It's,
So we're gonna do the current version. We know it's the current version.
It was provided on Friday, and that is.
Well, it's the current version of when it was pretty, when it was said.
Oh,
And if we take that, so maybe we take a quick look at the recap sheet first. And then compare it to.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when I used to rebalance.
I do have some questions on the recap sheet, on definitions of some of the items. What they mean, since I haven't seen, since
Mhm.
I haven't gone through the process before.
Okay, Okay, so just sort of, the first few lines, the appropriations, this is the total operating budget
Mhm.
for the town. And so it's coming out to the 28,000,761. People wanna see it a little bit larger.
No, I mean, my questions come later.
Okay, but I have done the confirmation that these numbers match the omnibus that was provided. So that's the piece. The recap sheet is trying to come up and identify all the areas of monies that are gonna be transferred during the town meeting. In articles as well as the revenues.
The special meeting says of the 15th or is that in your version?
It was the 18th, but it could have been the 15th. It didn't have a date on it. So,
Thank you. Would you be able to email that so we're making sure that we're looking at the same one?
right now.
Okay, so. So, yeah,
We need to help with the email address.
First initial, last name.
Yeah,
At public safety strategy.
yeah.
oh, I just wanted to make sure that this line is supposed to match this line.
Yeah, he said it did.
It doesn't.
Oh, oops.
Well, it's only off by a couple of,
Oh, it may be on for by a buck. Or
no,
two.
no, a little bit more than,
Okay, then we'll go back and take a look at it.
no. Am I reading that as 29,000 on that sheet? Is that different?
What line?
See, maybe I'm looking at the wrong line. The one that says total amount to be raised, is that the wrong line to be looked at?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that the,
The line that the omnibus it should match the one at the one after the first four items
the first four items?
on the
Okay.
top of the spreadsheet, on the top of that sheet.
Okay,
Is it down there?
all right, so Dave, so is that the budget total there? From the omnibus?
28,761, 166,
Okay.
and that
where-
should be,
Where is that?
that
supposed to
should be, 1, 2, 3, the fourth line down.
The fourth line down.
Yep, the fourth line down.
1, 2.
It says total operating budget.
Total
What do you have?
operating.
What do you have?
Oh, okay, okay,
That's
All
the
right.
one.
Does it
that's the
say
one, okay,
27?
Yep.
all right, then I was looking at the wrong line, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
27, 456, 370? No.
it says total, here it says 28,761, 166, okay,
An increase of 4.752.
okay, so I was looking at the wrong line, okay. So what's the line now that says total amount to be raised, is that the?
Well,
So,
so
okay, so that's
that's when you get into these adjustments, and some of those lines are some of the ones I have questions
right.
about.
So,
Okay,
so this,
okay,
it starts with, we need the money for the budget.
okay,
Now, the next section is town meeting article that are coming in. The first one, it has money in this column, it's 166,491 for TCAM. These are receipts from Comcast, so there is no, it's a transfer. The Comcast will give us that money, and we will transfer it and send it to TCAM. But again, we'll see in the revenues, we'll see
That same number,
that same number.
okay,
so it offsets.
So it does offset.
okay,
Like, so right now at line 11, we have the total appropriations of 28,927. Other amounts to be raised.
Yeah, so so what does the current year overlay mean? What does that mean?
Okay, that means for FY 26, how much money are we going to put into the assessors for, for the senior work-off program, for the abatements, for both real estate and, excise tax. So this is money we set aside thinking we might have to pay it back if assessments are off, or if people trading cars early and they want excise tax back, or the seniors work-off program to get their pay so that they can get a discount from their, real estate tax bill. So this money we put aside is for that.
And that's not a standard budget line item, that's,
That is always a standard budget line. You can see.
well, but it's in this other amounts to be raised rather than being in the omnibus.
Correct.
And so to me, that's not a standard budget item then, because the standard budget item would be in the omnibus, right?
It's a standard operating.
A standard operating item, but not, okay,
And it's put in here.
okay. Snow and ice, that makes sense. Now, what are the cherry sheet offsets and the state assessments?
Okay, the cherry sheet offset and the state assessments, those two lines come from the DLS, the cherry sheet. So when they give us the money and the revenue for the cherry sheets, there are some chargeback items for like, the one that comes to mind is the transportation. That is,
The Lowell Regional Transportation
Yeah,
Authority or whatever.
for whichever one you're part of. So for us, it would be there, but there's a general, they bring it back to the state for that line.
Okay,
And,
okay, because the cherry sheet is the money we get from sales tax?
no, the cherry sheet is the money we get from the state. The state,
Oh, okay, just our
Yeah.
share of,
our share of the state.
and then they take this much back.
Correct, yep.
Okay,
But that's a deal for you, huh?
and same thing with state is state assessments essentially the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Um, And then
and we know we covered the HERO Act
we
one
did
earlier.
cover the HERO Act, that, and in future years, because we haven't passed the HERO Act yet, it's in a separate line. I haven't read all warrant articles yet, but I expect it's in the warrant article, one of the warrant articles.
Oh,
this year,
I
in-
see.
In the annual. So we're accounting for it if it passes. If we don't account for this during town meeting, we have to scramble
Right,
and find a way to come up with 75,000
Right.
more,
Mhm.
in the balanced budget.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's in here. If it doesn't pass, that's 75,000. But this is the first time next year, you'll see that more than likely in the overlay. And so the.
if it
overlay-
passes this year, then it would
It
would be-
moved to the overlay.
yeah,
Um,
okay,
So with the overlay, we do get some money back, from the state, we get reimbursed. This new HERO Act, we don't get reimbursed any more than we currently do.
okay.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Given that this is a new expense
Mhm.
and the select board has created an override, shouldn't this be one of the items that they're listing in the override because it's new? It was not in our operating budget.
Well, again, it won't interfere in the operating budget. Anyway, it really only, it appears here with the overlay. You don't see the overlay as a line, the budget is expense line items.
Understood, but it's funds to be raised.
It is funds to be raised. We can make that as a statement up front on recommendations that if we don't pass the HERO Act, maybe we could reduce the ask on the override.
I think that because there's not a budget book anymore, people cannot see
Right.
it was used to see our revenue coming in year over year. And so now we don't see the revenue coming in, but now we have something that has to be raised. It is not transparent to, and that's what you're doing, but it's not transparent to the voters. And we can, people just need to know what they're voting
Right,
for.
We did discuss that a little bit before the meeting kicked off. Somebody was asking the question, do we have the recap sheet in the warrant? And it's not, only the omnibus is in there. So that we do need to have a little bit more visibility into these other items that are in there. And also, I haven't had the time to look to see which warrant article it is, but if we highlighted it, that said this is required warrant article, if we want warrant article, the specific warrant.
It's a terrific program, it's something for
Mhm.
veterans, but people do need to know.
What is it?
What is the Hero Act?
Yeah.
So it's a program that is statewide and most of it is reimbursement funded. So excise taxes, if someone is fully disabled, they get some back for their excise tax and property tax. And then there's a sort of sliding scale. And so most of it is reimbursed by the state, but this new legislation that came out in August. So again, I say this to everyone publicly, the select board had the opportunity from August to special town meetings to introduce this act and get the community to vote on it before. Before, it shouldn't be in an override before it's voted on. But this second part of it is not reimbursed by the state, so this doubling of it or increasing of the abatement on the property tax is not reimbursed by the state in this case.
It is for specialized veterans.
I think veterans and
Veterans.
Yeah, so we did one, I've heard nothing about it until a few meetings ago. Definitely.
no, that's if it,
Any
any
veteran of theirs, ability, and,
Yeah, the exact language.
that would, yeah.
it's all of, well, the reason I ask is for a specific type of person, or type of veteran, is very related to everything I've ever read,
Mhm.
whether it's social security things in the news, at least, is always related to the first thing she said, disabled and or other,
Mm.
which is certainly important.
Yeah. so
But
this
does
one
it
is-
go to anybody who happens to get through the service and back out, well and
Yeah,
ready to
it's-
go?
Yeah,
This one is qualifying seniors, surviving spouses in the bonds.
so,
But there's a whole packet and the veterans agent will
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
the folks to do that.
Thank you for pointing me in that direction.
so with that,
I don't see it in here.
Is it Article 9, I mean, is it 18 or 19? Because, yeah, there's nothing in here that mentions
Here.
Hero
the
Act.
HERO Act and with an amount.
Dawn, this is Cindy King. Can I speak to this? I'm pretty much involved with the Hero Act stuff.
Okay.
The Hero Act, there's two articles. One is to increase the cost of living for the exemptions that whether or not we accept the second article or not. We already give veterans exemptions for significantly disabled veterans from a variety of percentages. Veterans' disabilities are different than Social Security disabilities, but those veterans who are ill or injured because of their service, the Veterans Administration determines that they're disabled. Massachusetts has had a veterans exemption on property taxes for many decades, and it hasn't been increased in more than 20 years. So one of the articles, the cost of living increase, is to provide an annual automatic based on the CPI, like everything else, to allow the state. And the first one will be
Which article is that?
I don't know the numbers. I don't have, you're the only ones that I've known that even has these articles, but there's two
Okay.
articles, there's two HERO Act articles. The first one is simply a cost of living adjustment, and hopefully that should pass without any questions. But that's reimbursed, because that's based, whether or not the second article passes or not is not even relevant. Because the first one will be reimbursed based on, because it's just a cost of living thing. But because they haven't had an increase in 20 years on that particular, on any of the exemptions. And even though property taxes have, as you all know, our property taxes have gone up exponentially, but the veterans exemptions for disabled veterans, many of whom can't really do anything about their income, and the second one is a change, the hero, these all had to be voted on at annual town meeting. This is happening statewide. This is not some secret squirrel thing that the Townsend Board of Selectmen did to sneak this in, and it has absolutely nothing to do with an override. You cannot put this in as part of an override, and it's not. This is, HERO Act was finally put through sometime last year. The Department of Revenue submitted the letters to the towns and all the towns. This was back in December, informing about in the assessor's office primarily regarding how these are calculated. If you care, I did a YouTube video not that long ago about this because of my concerns of the misunderstandings that I'm hearing now about who exactly this applies to, and it applies to many of the, right there, that's nice. Many of the disabled veterans who are already receiving exemptions at varying levels. Some people, the lowest is 10, if you're at 10%, I don't have it in front of me, but the lowest the lowest tax exemption right now for veterans at a certain level is $400 from their taxes, and the highest, oh gosh, I think it's $1,500. It could be $1,250. I don't know. Some veterans get 100% of their taxes. I mean, or some. We only have like one person, I think, in town, and I believe that might even be a spouse of a surviving spouse of a disabled veteran. That is 100. That is those are not impacted by this second one. There's no increase if you're already getting a tax exemption. But those that can get up to $1,500, there's a percentage, a dollar amount that is reimbursed to the town on all of these. It's not 100% reimbursement. I think it's around 85% on the exemptions that we get now. When this increase that goes up, what they're asking is 100% and authorized is to double what the exemptions are. Like the $400 disabled veteran would get an $800 exemption. The town would still get reimbursed for the 85% of the $400, but they wouldn't get reimbursed for the extra $400. I mean, that's unfortunate that the state is doing it this way, but that's how they're asking the towns well, this is authorized in the law for the towns. And I really hate to see Townsend be one of the towns that veterans aren't going to get the increase, but the town next door will get the increase. So we're kind of telling veterans we don't want you here. But but this is way overdue. This increase, the last time this was increased was somewhere around 20 years ago. I thought it had been longer than that, but I checked back through my tax bills that go back 40 years. And, but even though tax exemption or tax rates have gone up significantly, the veterans who are receiving this, I wish I had it handy.
I'm sending it to Don right now, Cindy. So he
What?
can send it. I'm gonna send the exemption sheet to Don so he can send it.
Who is that? Who's speaking?
I'm gonna send it.
Kim
Kim Freeman, I'm
Freeman.
gonna send it to Don Hayes so he can send it to his committee.
Thank you.
I really don't know what you mean, but there's different exemptions. I did a video. If you were to go back through my videos, you could find it. That goes over the different percentages. You can easily find it on the DOR website, and but it doesn't. It just increases. It kind of helps the veterans who have been getting exemptions, but it has not kept up with the amount of taxes that many of these veterans have been getting it, and it really helps them. And it's not some sneak attack by the select board. There's no, I mean, they're not even, they're probably just as lack of knowledge as you are. Okay,
I think we get it.
Get it?
We get it.
That's good.
all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy.
What happened now?
Yes,
I just have a question. So I support the HERO Act, but I obviously don't know what town meeting will end up doing.
right.
But so I think clarifying that it is included in the override, that 75,000 increase to get to that 625 ask is important. And my question would be like, if town meeting didn't pass it and the override was to pass before that,
Mhm.
because town meeting has to adopt this
Correct.
increase, what happens to that $75,000? Is it going to be
If-
spent?
It is not, it is not part of the override. It cannot be part of an override. It would be part of, entitlements and exemptions. It would be part of the regular, tax levy and not, part of an override. Override passing or failing will have no impact or vice versa on this article.
But Cindy, it's in the override budget.
Right,
And-
so
And
it-
just to
when-
clarify, Cindy, what I was saying about the selectmen is they had 2 special town meetings to bring this before the voters. Wasn't saying it was a sneak attack, it's just, they've had 2 special town meetings since this past
Yeah,
state level to bring this forward.
If,
Is it in
but
the
again,
budget?
if we had done it in FY 25, and it's not taking impact until FY 26, it would still be in the budget for the first time.
Correct, but people would have at least known about it.
Yeah, we haven't adopted it yet.
Yeah, but transparency is not big.
I just wonder what would
Okay,
happen to it
yeah.
if the override passed and
If-
town meeting
if-
didn't adopt the.
It would be
that
part of the
75,000.
general fund. If we don't adopt it, there'll be 75,000 that we can use if another,
It's kind of a semantic thing, because if the override, if this were to pass and the override fails, the
Now you-
625 cuts would have to come out of the omnibus budget, not
Right.
that line
And-
item,
and now, if,
okay?
and if it does.
And that's what, I think that's what Cindy means by saying it's not part of the override.
Right.
And that this is a separate line item that does not get impact, if the override fails, but this one passes, this one is in there, and
And
the
and
cuts would have to come out of the
625
omnibus.
700.
Fair.
Okay.
So if the override passes and town meeting does not adopt the new provisions of the HERO Act and that 75,000 was included in the calculation of the override, can we, who
then,
manages that? Where does it go? Can if we say at that point it goes into the FinCom reserve?
yeah, I don't know what happened.
No.
Then.
No, it cannot be part of anything to do with an override. The HEROES Act is completely separate.
No, but what she's asking, Cindy, is.
I know what she's asking, and no, it's pass fail. They're not including the 75,000 in the override amount. If they are, then they're doing something illegal.
Right.
It
It's kind of like,
is
when we
included,
get
that's
to the
the problem,
bottom here,
Cindy.
Cindy, you'll see that these numbers that we're talking about here and trying to raise includes that 75,000 in, would be included.
In the overall
625.
numbers.
So they put it in the budget,
Right, so.
and it shouldn't be in the budget.
Well, it's not in the
It's-
omnibus
it's-
budget, it's in a different,
But like you said, it's semantics. What's the,
But if it's included in the override and it's not supposed to be included in the override, then the override should be $75,000 less.
exactly.
Right, but then how do you come up with this 75,000 to increase your property taxes to pay for it? If it's not part of the 625, if it's not included in the 625, has to. Yeah, it's kind of like,
So we're doing all this backwards, so how can we even arrive at
See,
anything?
we
I
should
mean,
be passing a budget first.
I think so.
Yeah.
I
The
really
budget-
believe
the
that.
budget
I think we
needs-
should just
the-
talk, let's concentrate on how we solve that problem. Because going over these numbers 500 times, every single
Well,
month, 3 times a
we
month.
have the
Because-
ability to to make a recommendation not to approve the those two warrant articles.
Okay, but
The
then
town
what
needs to-
happens?
So if they do,
But we don't have a budget. The budget needs to be passed. And then, once the budget's passed, then we know what we have to work with. Right now, we have no budget. We're
Well,
guessing all the time.
And it changes
the-
every time we meet.
Yeah.
Well, the budget hasn't changed for a couple of days, and what they,
Okay.
what they presented
Gotta-
on the 16th, as far, to the best of my knowledge, what I had looked at, there was no changes from the 16th to the 18th when we got that.
That would be a
And so we'll-
48-hour period,
Well,
okay.
that's-
Okay, I
but-
guess, you're right, got a point.
When we started at the top of this, that was that's the omnibus budget. That's what the town budget is. The rest of this is what the other amounts that the revenues we're getting and the expenses that we see for articles that are on the town warrant, on the annual town meeting warrant. If those pass, we have to have the money in the budget to pay for them. And that's why they're listed here.
I still
Okay.
think that having the budget first,
Well, again,
But you
Step
can't have the budget first until you appropriate the appropriate amount, and you're not allowed to appropriate more than 2.5% more per year.
But they
Mhm.
could have done the budget and then come to town meeting on a contingency and then have the override vote after. So that we knew it was in the
It-
budget, so we can.
They could, yes,
So-
but that would require a second election
Another.
and another
And
cost
another-
for an
If
election.
they wanna do it for a select board anyway. They wanna have an election after
Well,
annual
the-
town meeting to elect the 2 additional members of the select
But
board.
not,
That passes.
okay, so
Yeah.
if we're gonna get to all
Sorry,
the warrants,
I don't
but
wanna go sideways on you.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's kind of like this.
so let me ask this question.
Yeah.
It goes back to the recap. So this is under other amounts to be raised.
Mhm.
And then it says, total other amounts to be raised is 599,941, if I can read that small print. So what does that actually mean? Is that
Okay,
part of the 625 override, or is this additional
Yeah.
money?
for amounts to be raised.
Oh.
Okay.
It's part of that other amounts to be raised, which includes the HERO Act.
Okay, this is, okay,
But when you get down
okay,
to,
so other amounts to be raised. you're
right,
talking-
right there, 599,940. So that's total other amounts to be raised.
Correct.
What is that figure, like, what does that really mean? Is that additional funds that have to be raised?
Correct.
Yeah, that's
So,
additional money over the omnibus
over the
budget.
omnibus budget.
So-
So in addition to the omnibus budget, we're trying to raise these funds.
So are these the things that are included in the 625 override?
And I
Or
think
is
Well, the number that came up with the 624 override is based on that line item number 27.
This is a
Okay.
start of it. Because
Okay,
there'll be offsets. When you look at the snow and ice deficit, it says we
Yeah,
have to
okay.
raise.
John, your cursor's in the formula and it's changing.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
okay,
So-
that's what I was just trying to understand.
right, so we have to raise 287, but you'll see in the funds, we're gonna transfer from free cash the amount to cover this.
Okay,
So,
So you need to raise 593,941, but the
In-
override 625.
No,
okay,
Okay.
no, okay, so we need, in addition to what we started with on the top, which is the annual, the omnibus budget. So we start with 28,761.
okay,
Then for town meeting articles, we added 166,491 to it. So the total appropriations with the TCAM payment is the 28,927. Then we have other amounts. So we have the overlay and the snow and ice. Those are the amounts that 563 brings the total that we have to raise to 29,521,598. So that's the total we have to raise
raise,
to pay the, pay the bills. Now we
okay,
get into the revenue section. Where's the money gonna come from for this?
And since snow and ice still 291.
It's now gonna be the 291 that's in the warrant article, yeah. So I may have,
So they should have another updated one.
so the
Yeah.
287 is gonna be 291.
291, what was the number, Carol? You had the short sheet.
for which number, the one I said,
No.
The snow and ice.
Snow and ice.
291,
oh, the snow and ice is the 16?
it's out here, the 291,
Oh, the 291, 600, or 291, 658.
okay.
Oh, no, snow and ice is 291, 658.
So that increases that,
So this keeps going up every time we meet.
just-
well, it keeps snowing, so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can't do much with the snow and ice.
Didn't we get the new police budget?
No, that I can explain. I learned something on that.
Right, that was in your email too.
That was in the
It
email
was?
too. It was. It's kinda like-
Maybe I didn't read the
it was-
whole email, I was just printing stuff.
Yeah, it's
This
kind
is
of,
too much.
so-
I mean,
it is.
it's just way too much. I mean, is this a plan to make
It-
everybody completely,
It is not, this is.
Total negligence?
Unfortunately,
oh,
some of how it works. When we saw the original, and let's finish.
Yeah, let's
all right,
go,
finish
let's go through
this.
this, yeah.
So now we get the cherry sheet total number that's coming in. The enterprise indirect costs, these are the transfers that come from the water department to the town
mhm.
for what the town provides for the water department. And this is higher than our last meeting when, Todd Melanson was discussing it, they've finalized on these.
And just.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, it appears different in the warrant.
It may, it kind of, again, the warrant article is based on a point in time. The motion that they make on the floor will have,
But which one's right?
That's what I
The motion
always
on the
thought, but I don't
will
know.
be.
It's just really hard because they don't. see any of
It's
these
just we're
documents.
close to the 700.
Okay,
I don't know.
Are we actually at the true number of 625, or did I keep adding things
No,
into
no,
it?
it's gone up
It's
now.
gone
It's gone up.
Oh, six-
It's in the seventies.
oh, no.
what's the question?
Do we really believe the 625 override is sufficient to
No.
cover the expense?
No, we know
Well,
it isn't.
When
We
we
know
get,
that
when we
it
get to the
isn't.
bottom line and it's actually, when it said 625 before I just made that change.
Mhm.
There are some things that happened in the omnibus budget that made it 625, and if you're running exactly, if your override is exactly what you need.
Yeah.
I'm not, you'd like to have at least a couple of thousand
Yeah,
above, so
yeah,
you're running a tight budget, it's kind of like,
yeah, but I don't believe the 625 number.
okay, that's where the omnibus comes back.
Well,
in.
but the other problem you face is, so like, the cherry sheet receipts, that's an estimate, right?
That is the best estimate, and they took it from the first column, not the second and third. The second and third columns for the cherry sheet. The first one is, I think, is the governor's budget, and then you have the House budget and the Senate budget, and then they vote the final,
Oh,
Right.
they being the selectmen?
they being the state.
The
Okay, the
state,
state, so the
yeah.
state tells us, so this number won't change.
No, this number might change.
This,
Depends on what the votes are.
this number is like, based on the
Most likely
historical.
it will change.
Yeah,
Because the state will not have themselves together either.
Well,
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
the state.
Yeah, you think we're screwed up, the
Okay,
state's worse,
So
so.
the state is gonna bring it to conference, and at the end of the conference,
Okay,
they
I
will
get it.
have the final
Alright.
number when they pass the final budget for the state. Until then, like the schools, we have a number that's a preliminary number that they allow us to use. So if this number happened to go down, we would need more than the 625.
And when does the state do
Um,
this?
Does the number ever go up?
Yes,
Okay, so if the number went up, we would need less than the 625.
correct. But
But we
that-
won't know that until after we vote on the 625.
Right, exactly, because
Right.
we vote on our budget in May.
Yeah.
They might finalize a budget in July
Right,
or August.
right.
It's kind of like, so
it's like the
We-
federal.
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
the budget season is
Right.
is how you have to
Right.
put it together.
I need
And
to
the
vote on
schools run the same situation. They don't know their final numbers until
Until, yeah,
after.
Yeah.
that. Okay.
and that's also true on the estimated local receipts line, right?
You know, it's
I mean,
kinda like,
we're guessing 2 million,
we're guessing 2 million based on the FY 25 figure says it talks about 278,000 was,
so the local estimated receipts, is that the sales and the excise taxes?
yes,
Okay.
and, yeah, when you say sales tax, you're talking, the revenue from restaurant?
Well, I mean, I imagine that if I go into a store and buy something, the town gets a portion of the sales tax that I paid to
No,
that store.
that's the
No.
state sales tax, and that's part of your cherry sheet number.
That's part of the cherry sheet.
That's part of
Okay,
your revenue stream,
okay,
along with income tax.
okay.
In the end, that's the money they use to give back to us.
So,
Okay, so what goes into the estimated receipts then?
that is gonna be, as you said, the excise tax.
Yes.
It will be the restaurant, it will be the money from, the rest of the things, the dog licenses,
And then you're saying there's a portion of the restaurant taxes
and
included
then
in
a
that as
portion of the
well.
restaurant tax.
Okay. So we need to approve more liquor licenses to get some more restaurants.
Yeah,
We don't, do again.
2.25.
That comes from the
so
God.
what's, is that the purple bags, the $5.40 a month, PAYT?
Yeah, that's a purple bag.
I was just
Yeah.
handed, if you wanna see the breakdown, the chart, of
Yes.
where all the local receipts are.
Local receipt.
That's from the fiscal 25 report.
Okay.
So do we know why it went down by 8%?
It
local
went down
estimated
because if you
receipts?
read the note, the FY 25 was inflated by 278,632 with opera funds.
Oh, okay.
So, in December, they had, when the opera funds got shuffled,
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Okay.
that was a piece of it. So
When do
that,
these ARPA funds go away? Cause they're really annoying.
opera funds can,
27?
it's December 31st, so halfway through 27, December 31st of, 2026 is,
2026.
but that's your first half of FY 27.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Yeah, if you
So-
remember, we're
so
I
going,
forgot,
we
I
crossed
forgot.
calendar
the-
years.
Yeah, across the calendar.
Okay, and then it's not available, it goes away, if we didn't spend it, it goes back.
Yeah.
End of story. Okay, good, thank God.
Okay. Right. So these are the so that 5 million is what we kind of expect as
This,
our,
this is what we expect from the revenue, the 480, which we didn't talk, is the pay as you throw
Yeah,
back money.
yep.
So,
well, we've kind of beat that one to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Previous
mean, that's,
meetings.
please, let's not talk about that.
right, and then other things that are gonna happen as we look at the warrant articles, the 700,000 transfer from the ambulance.
No, but are we getting that this year?
Yes.
I thought that was gonna go for the, fire truck.
No,
No, that's
No,
different.
he said he
That's
was gonna
different.
transfer the
it's
700,000.
going back from.
Remember he got up at the info meeting and the fire chief,
I don't listen to him.
so,
So, yeah,
Anyways,
so the 700 is in the warrant article, and that's the number that they've been doing the last couple of years.
701, 800,
Yeah,
700.
Yeah,
Now, okay, so now that's for 2026.
Yeah.
Didn't he say that there was gonna be problems because of the closing of the hospital and we were gonna need more services?
the
You're not
ambulance
getting that
receipts are
200.
not going down.
Oh, okay.
This is how much they get for each, from the ambulance runs.
But we're not
Somebody else.
getting the 250.
The 250 has been, my understanding was that it went into a fund that is specifically for the ambulance services and outfitting them. The majority of it went from
oh, that was
to
to
the
upgrade
advanced
the
life,
ambulance
updating
when
from
they
the
had
standard
to
life.
come in or something.
Okay, so it's 700,000 on that, so it's down a little bit from
Sure.
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were told that our ambulances were working to help other towns.
Mutual aid. yeah.
Mutual aid.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're not getting extra money for that.
We're getting a transfer money. I believe there is some transfer money when you transfer a patient from their ambulance to our ambulance.
Gary said at the meeting that the 250 is some sort of pay you to shut up money. And we can only use it for certain specific ambulance things.
No, that's the 250,000 for the shutting of
Yeah,
The hospital.
the hospital.
it's not the plan.
This is the transfer money from,
Right, but that is only not available, that's only available
available.
for certain specific devices within the fire department itself, or EMS.
yeah,
fire.
yeah.
So I guess my question is, can that 700 be higher next? Can we get more than that?
If we do more runs and there is more, then the answer would be potentially, but the other thing is it could be used for ambulances. It can be used to support us by allowing us to put that money into the general fund and using it only in the fire EMS area. That's what the limitation.
So
of
it comes
these-
into the
these
general
funds are.
fund and then immediately takes
Oh,
care
okay,
of
all
the
right,
big
I-
portion of the fire stuff.
So-
I get.
So they get the receipts, they come in and it helps support their. And then, the paid access, again, is, the money we get from Comcast
Mhm.
is 5% of the Comcast revenues
Mhm.
comes to us. Right now, it's estimated at 166. We saw this exact number up on the
Yeah.
Article 10. So that's a wash. So really what we're doing is doing the whole balancing of the books. It's kind of like we're gonna pay some
Yeah.
money out to TCAM, but this is where it comes from
What's
Comcast.
Title V? Is that what?
Title V is your, the septic inspections.
Uh-huh.
And so when we do the Title V and get the approvals and they get those, that money, I believe, comes from Board of Health if it's not.
Is that an estimate?
It has to be. You don't know how many Title V.
So that could go down.
It's potential to go down. It could go up. If you build more houses, it's gonna expand. It's kind of like if you know,
More houses
if
you
your
build,
septic
the more
fails,
you
if you
pay.
wanna,
No, I
if you wanna
totally
sell.
get that,
Yeah.
but also by selling, right?
Well,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
the system fails, yeah, then you have to
Right,
put it in.
yeah,
okay,
for
yeah.
everything with the septic, it's kind of like whether it's a new one, whether one fails or whether.
So that's based on house starts?
For a little bit of house starts, a little transfer, little failure of
Okay.
septic system.
Yeah.
The transfer from the
The
reading room.
reading room?
Yeah, so the West Townsend Reading Room,
Yeah,
They
what goes
collect-
on there?
they collect money when people rent it, and so
Oh,
they're transferring it back into general fund. So
Better
that
run
we
it
use it.
more often.
yeah, I didn't realize that. I
Yeah.
wonder what they charge.
I think it's online.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And there's like everything else, there's a lot of things on
Yeah.
there. Then we have
Transfer
the
from-
transfer from other funds. This is the page of throw grant.
Oh, wait,
So 62,000 coming in. And then from free cash, we're bringing the 200,000. for the
so how,
school.
wait, whoa.
Yeah.
Go back up. So it says transfer from rec revolving.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's none?
Okay, it's been reduced to none. It had been used to offset the assistant director. The assistant director position
Got,
is
Yeah,
not
I
in the
got it.
FY 26
Okay.
budget. So they're gonna use it, and again, that was, the assistant director would work in the summer programs. And so that's why the money was transferred out, and because they were already getting a check from the town, it would increase and they'd pay it out of the town budget, so they moved money over. Now the position is gonna be strictly, like any other person we hire, and paid from the revolving fund directly
okay, so we won't be getting any funds from that
this year.
this year, yeah.
We are paying for the director herself.
We still pay.
That's the only one we're paying for. The rest of it comes out of the revolving fund.
Correct, yeah. Yeah. And then the 200 free cash from the special town meeting. Overlay surplus, if you have that number and you see a number here, the overlay surplus is how much of the current year overlay we didn't use. That's what this number is.
So that number will only get populated when fiscal 25 finishes.
The assessor might give us an estimated number, now, and if there's nothing here, it
There's,
seems like there's nothing,
okay,
nothing available to come back.
And
Right.
nothing available in stabilization?
Well, okay, last year, we used $136,000
I see that,
of
yeah.
stabilization in August, when we were trying to balance the budget with the school increase and the pay-as-you-throw program just started. And so stabilization went there. There is money in the stabilization fund. It is getting lower as a percentage of the town budget. So it's so that's something that we haven't talked about as a town, of what is our target, what is our goal to try to stay there. Stabilization helps you with, if there's a big bill that comes in, number one, but number two, it helps you with your bond rating. So if you have a healthy balance in there, you can keep your bond rating lower when you borrow money.
Do we know how much is left in it?
It's about 1.1 million, plus or minus a little bit.
Okay.
And how much do we need to have in there to keep the bond rating?
I'd like to see it higher than 8%, probably closer to 10. The auditors tell us.
8% of what?
10% of the total town budget.
So that'd be 2.9 million.
Yes.
So we're 2 million short.
Let's go town operating versus the school. Let's take the school.
How long is the town gonna be able to?
Oh, town
operate?
operating, basically?
Yeah.
Take the schools out, so, okay, so well, actually, then we're pretty close. Then we're actually fairly close. Okay,
Yeah, I think we're right now around 8%. Like we were up at the 10%, and because we've used two.
right. So one of the ways, even though nobody's proposed this, one of the ways you could reduce the override is to take from stabilization. But of course, that becomes a problem if we keep doing that.
Mhm.
Eventually stabilization
Well, we
disappears.
shouldn't keep doing that.
No, and
Right.
this year we're not planning.
Well,
to.
maybe we could, and
Right,
then
but we should
get
look
strict
at,
next year.
we should be looking at how to increase, it's like everything else, you should be looking at
You gotta.
your savings. Yeah,
come out of
I
that
started
box.
typing it because I
Oh,
have to make it
gotcha.
at the top.
Because
Yeah,
Dave,
yeah.
what we're doing right now is we're reacting, we're not proacting, we're on the brink all the
Right.
time,
Right,
and that's not sustainable.
and-
No.
Oh,
It-
sorry, somebody has something to say. Go on.
Just a few questions,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman. So the first grant for the 250 for the closing of the hospital, direct for the ambulance, and I know some's going to outfit the new ambulance and take them in and such. But there was another supplemental with $10 million for operations for the impact of the hospital closing. It's 10 million to reimburse local and regional EMS for extraordinary costs to provide services. So that was different than the first 250 that we got to outfit. Have we gotten any updates? I know I had asked Nelson if he didn't know that money had been awarded. That was it was the second Friday of the month that I asked Nelson about that. Has he corresponded with you on that at all?
No.
This is second money, you're talking about
This is
second,
new, this is
New
second.
money.
This
The
is
first
second.
one was the ambulance specific equipment, which I'm not sure, I wasn't at the 16th, so I don't know if any of that has been allocated for like the medical supplies or things like that.
It's down to, I think it was around 25 to 35, I think was left.
Yeah, so whatever, there's specific grants. But this one here is specifically to provide services, and my understanding is more flexible. So it'd be really good if we knew the status of that. And like I said, I asked the town administrator, he didn't know. The fire chief did call, and I've not had a chance to catch up with him. But that would be really good for us to know. The other question that I had is, given that we still have ARPA funding that no one sees on the omnibus or the recap, except for the 19 that's been moved over.
Yeah.
And I know you all had discussed that, but there's also, through the FOIA request that I did, there's been 54,000 out of the tax levy to pay for the ARPA funded positions.
Are you talking specifically in the Board of Selectmen area or the other?
In the Board of Selectmen area. I made sure that it did not violate any privacy concerns. I was denied my first request, but I gave them the Supreme Court decision and challenged it to the state, and the state sided with me, and I got the figure, it was $54,000 that we have spent out of the levy. And so how much is that position being supported with the levy for this year's budget, and how do we get that figure? Because the voters should know where that is in the budget, because we have not voted on that position. It's something,
Did it say it was salaries or benefits?
it's the benefits,
Okay.
And what?
and benefit numbers are not protected by HIPAA or anything else,
Oh, they're not?
they are not.
No, but as long as you don't have names. Associated.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
it's not even that, so the amount for the benefits are actually because they're part of the tax levy, and we are not, the provider. And it is not a bill for services, it's a bill for the insurance itself, just like the pension costs
Yeah,
per
we-
person.
Yeah, we don't have a
that's something-
breakdown. by employee on the
Well,
benefits.
some
But
places do.
that's why I know the PVA was zero for those employees. That's why I went to the benefits. So,
That's not very transparent. Because the employees are still working. But the line item is zero.
well, the
How are they
line,
getting paid?
okay,
Are they?
they're getting
Are they-
paid for an ARPA transfer. So they're taking, the salary is being paid not out of the salary line in the omnibus budget, but by the ARPA funds.
And are they moving it to the next year?
Are they moving it to the salary line? Well, that's not transparent.
No, but that's unfortunately, the accountant, we tried to make it transparent by putting the absolute amount in there and putting an ARPA line on the bottom,
Mhm.
saying these were the ARPA funds
Mhm.
paying.
That would be good.
It would be good,
Mhm.
but when you do that in your omnibus budget, it's not recurring revenue, so the accountant told us we had to take it out because it's not recurring funds, it's not revenue. That's
Did you
recurring.
say that you had to take the ARPA funds out of the omnibus?
Yes, that's why the lines are sitting at zero, but
But they're actually,
Except there's
But they're actually-
19,000 in the omnibus.
right now, the omnibus for next year, they're, both positions are sitting at zero.
But there's $19,000
I-
in the omnibus.
There is, it's not in the omnibus, it's a note that says 19,000, paying for the assistant town clerk. So it's reduced the 47 to 27, and it's in the note column that says 19,000 is ARPA funding.
Okay, and you might recall, one of the select board members saying that that was absolutely prohibitive. But I did talk to our consultant and National League of Cities, and they said that it was.
Mhm.
So clearly now they've taken that to heart and actually used it for a different position, which is allowed. And so here we are at this juncture where we have a position that has not been voted on as part of the tax levy by the townspeople, being paid for in an off budget. That now if we have an override and school money comes in next year, we're gonna have this additional money, so we're just gonna slide that one over. And I believe that this
Well,
committee
that's-
voted to recommend to eliminate that position so that we have that money accessible. So that,
We had recommended to the board of selectmen, we passed our recommendations to the board of selectmen.
What do they do?
Not for the town clerk's office.
Not-
no,
not the
no,
town
no,
clerk,
no,
that's-
for
that-
the
for
For the-
the funded position that doesn't show.
for
in
the
omnibus.
HR
Okay,
in
so
the
we'll
wellness.
get into the omnibus. It's kind of like, so let's hold off on that. Let's
All right,
sort of,
all right, let's move along so we can get into the omnibus.
right, yeah, exactly. So the other thing is, we talked about the omnibus budget increasing in the police. You'll see this line says school resource officer. So
Is that the new person that we just hired, or we're gonna
It is-
hire?
No, the school resource officer has been in there. The schools transfer money to the town, and we have been paying the resource officer from,
Oh,
This is another one of those accounting things
this
where
is an accounting thing, there's
Money comes-
80,000 coming in and.
the
money
expense
going
comes
out.
in, was added to the police line. This line got added to basically offset that
Correct.
expense.
What about the 61,000 from
it was
last week?
71, wasn't it? Oh, it was
Yeah,
61.
okay, so that's where this money is. So the school resource officer was not in the police budget when we have been looking at it all the way through. Now the school resource officer is there. If we go back to the chief's original,
That 80 equals to 61?
No, well,
it was about 80.
there was an 80 add, and then there was some subtractions as other things went down, so the
Alright.
total came out to
To 61.
61,
Okay.
yeah.
But the increase in the bump in the police salaries is based on the school resource officer.
And that's this is offsetting that.
This is offsetting that increase on the
Is
police.
that one officer?
It's one officer, yeah, school resource.
And so we pay for it out of the town, it's not part of the school budget?
It is not part of the, well, this 80,000 is part of the school budget. It's not
Right,
transferred.
it is
It's-
part of the school budget,
Think
but
of it like the
But
water
also
but
department.
you've gotta do it this way to fudge the
see
number.
ins and the outs on your
Yeah.
budget. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
where's the money come from? The money comes from the school, and it's really like the water department transferring some money to us for something we do. They don't wanna hire a police officer and train a police officer and keep them, so because the
Right.
school's in Townsend PD provides a school resource officer.
Right.
And when we go back, if we look at the initial budgets, you'll see on the school resource officer, there's no money, it just says SRO in those lines. And we asked the question, what's SRO? And it was school resource officer.
Right.
Now this is
Now they added that number in, and then they added the payment from the school
into,
to pay for it.
Okay,
All
all
right.
right.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
so it's a net effect of zero,
Yeah,
but
but you gotta do
you
the
gotta put the
accounting,
numbers
yeah,
in.
Right,
yeah.
All right.
got that one.
so,
We have a question.
Wait till the omnibus.
okay,
It went up over 85
The police.
in the omnibus, offset by
Okay.
the 80. I just thought that matters.
Okay.
I just want to say
now
more,
it
but I-
was, and that may be part of it, that the cost of the school resource officer and the pay was higher than what the school was reimbursing us for, so we. I can check with the chief.
Okay.
Okay,
So with the total revenue, and again, I guess I need to ask the question because I can't tell you what total other available funds is when you have it to the other revenue. So we have the two,
Total other available funds, we don't know what it is?
No, I think that's the total of all this.
all those numbers
Oh,
there.
well, the total revenues is here, but, yeah.
It's 1,500,000.
okay, yeah,
Is it that-
it's a
is it-
subtotal, you're right, that's a
Yes,
subtotal.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So it increased 16%?
well, no, that section did,
That section did total year over year, because we've now added the $80,000 into it from last year, or that wasn't there, and the 62,000 from the page extra. So we've increased the revenue with a couple of items.
But it's really fake, right?
Well,
I
No,
won't say it's fake.
it's not
It's-
fake, it's just
real money for
accounting.
this
But
year.
it's-
It's real money for this year.
Mhm,
It's
okay.
accounting.
All right.
yeah,
Yeah,
Um, So subtracting that from the total bill,
Mhm.
it comes to that the levy, we have to raise $22,902,504.
Okay.
So now you get into the tax levy calculations.
Okay.
So down here is the levy you will allow from the prior year. You'll see that this 20,303. The second line, the 2.5 increase is just the formula to increase it by 2.5. New growth is provided as an estimate from the assessor. Again, more building, if more people build bigger houses.
It's considerably lower than last year.
But equal to the year before, the 24. So it's
very.
it's variable based, it's kind of like how many people are doing additions now. There's less additions now than a couple of years ago with all those pieces, so they.
That's the kind of stuff we have to look at. That's the kind of
Oh,
stuff we
but
have to
you
look at.
can't because you don't know, that number's coming from an estimate. There's no way to
Oh, I
fix
see
that
what you
number
say.
better
It's not
than
a
that.
fixed number, so you can't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So we
can't,
just-
you
yeah,
can't know that.
you just estimate it
Yeah,
because it's,
I think
it's,
you're right. I think there is a way. I mean, you can look at the factors that created the 131, whatever the number is.
Mhm.
As it decreased from 200, which is huge,
right.
and
But-
then it increased, you can look at those factors and figure that out.
Well, I mean, you can certainly do averages of it, but
No, I don't mean by numbers, I mean by what's happening in the world,
what
in a town.
is what's happening in the town. And when you go back to 2023, that was 2022, a lot of people were doing additions and things during ARPA times. And there were.
And
additions
was
added.
there a new division put in, a
Yeah,
subdivision
a
put in?
little one, yeah.
Right, if there's a little subdivision put in, then you can anticipate, okay, that's gonna
Right.
be,
If permits have
that's
been.
gonna be new
yeah,
money.
Right.
So if nobody's pulled permits,
Oh, I see,
In
that's
the
what
last
she
couple
looks like.
months,
She looks
then
at
that's
that.
not gonna, then you know you're
Yeah.
gonna be less. If the number of permits has gone down, then you know you're
Yeah.
gonna come in less.
yeah,
And you can estimate that. That's, so you're only estimating it because that's all you can do.
To your best point, and you don't want to overestimate it because if you're short on your
But they
revenue.
should know
estimate-
right now what building permits were pulled and which ones are coming online for next year.
Well, they'll know some of them, but they're not gonna know all of them, because if I pull a permit in September, if someone comes in and says, oh, I'm gonna build 5 houses, and they start in September, you don't know that those permits aren't pulled now. those are pulled in September, and if they finish, if they finish in 6 months, which they won't, because they've never finished that fast, but I mean, if they finish before the end of the fiscal year, then, that comes online.
That comes online and available too.
So, I mean,
But there's definitely.
Planning would know that.
right, planning on, I mean, and that's probably what they have, that's where they got that number from, is this is
Yeah.
based on what they've received so far, this is what they come to.
Our budget book was amazing. I don't know why we don't have it anymore.
There's actually formulas for this.
Yeah, there's formulas for this.
Oh,
Collins
okay.
Center gave us this information, you just had to plug it in. It kind of like, and we haven't plugged it in, we haven't had the financial staff to do it. It had been,
Don't, yes, we do.
well,
We have the HR people, we have
no, no,
Sabrina,
it's gonna,
we have all kinds
no,
of
no, it's kind of like, so they're showing from the budget book for the prior year. We had the Collins Center from UMass, come out and do an evaluation of us. They gave us a lot. This would be the 5-year back look, not the 5-year look forward.
Yeah.
But they give you the history, and if you plug in your numbers year over year, you can keep tracking it. But that went away when the stability in the town administrator office went away. The last line, debt excludable from Prop 2.5, that is your 2 school exemption. And then,
So that gets
Oh, there's
added into the
625,
20,941.
correct, because it's excluded from the 2.5.
There's your number, Carol, 625.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's exactly, it, a 625 override would take this and put it to 0. And it would be considered a balanced budget at that point, with no leeway for anything.
No leeway for error. What happened to but that's for this year, never mind.
That's,
The
yeah.
$19,000 missing invoice, but that's for 2025.
That's
Right.
for FY 25, and and again, I don't,
What does that do to the 25 budget?
that's where we're coming up with the 16,000 transfer.
Oh,
So that was part of the 307,
oh, okay,
the 291 plus the 60.
Oh, so
okay.
the 16 we gave from our reserve fund. Was because of their error.
for snow and ice. Well, not an error, it was an invoice that came in late, plus the last storm.
Oh, plus the last storm, right,
Yeah,
right.
don't forget about the last storm.
I keep
Yeah.
forgetting about that.
Yeah,
Everybody
okay.
wants to, it's kind of like
Yeah.
and this is your
Please.
first year on finance committee, you're praying and hoping that you don't get those plows out after March
I guess
1st.
so.
That we don't have a May snowstorm like we
Yeah,
did many,
fingers
many,
crossed.
many years
Yeah.
ago.
In May,
May,
I remember,
yeah.
I remember Mother's Day, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so that's exactly where the 625 comes from,
Okay,
so.
So,
So so you're saying they did not present this sheet on Wednesday night? Because they really
No.
should have, because that would have, because like you said,
This tells a lot bigger story than
Yeah,
anything
no.
else.
no, they did the pie charts with the colors and
Yeah.
here's a big square and here's a little
so
square.
because this sheet, I mean, you can disagree with why
Right.
those numbers are like that, but at least this sheet tells you where they got the 625.
Right.
Yeah.
But if people are looking to say, these 7 lines make up 625,000, you're not getting it. The
Right,
625 is a percentage of the overall budget. When you look at it, you could divide it off, that percentage and put a percentage and say it's 1.5% of every line's gonna equal this. It's kind of like, so it's really the total budget, the total expenses, all of the things that we have happening at town meeting. to come up
Is
with
that a typed in number or is that a?
No, that's a formula.
It is, can we see it?
yeah, H69 minus H56.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
okay, so that is a number
56.
Mhm.
that balances the budget, but that is not a number that necessarily represents strong fiscal spending.
No, but then some of the numbers are estimates and if we're off in our estimates,
Mhm.
that number could increase.
It could increase or it could decrease.
Well, it could decrease, we'd have a little extra money for a rainy day, but
But I think the 625 could still be cut. I really do. I
Well,
mean,
that's where the omnibus budget, in looking at the.
Well, we
omnibus
want the
budget,
ARPA funds to be
Well,
cut.
Well, but that's, but again, if you take the ARPA funds and redirect them, all that
I
you're
don't
doing,
like using those opera funds.
no, but it's kind of like those,
No.
those are the pieces.
Right, so we're right back where we always have been.
We are, but we see
Yeah,
the
but-
number,
okay.
and I wanted to.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We've seen the number now.
Okay,
But it
And
allows
how's
you to
that
ask
change?
the
Yeah.
questions about some of these pieces. Some of them would like to see exactly how did they get to some of these.
I agree, yeah, how did they get to it?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we've yet to see what's actually in the budget, under the general line item budget. And I think that can be a little bit problematic.
The omnibus,
Yeah.
okay. So let's switch the omnibus.
So is this the one that we got today from town meeting?
Yeah,
Or is this yet another
well,
one?
well,
you should have had it from last Saturday.
What is that one?
This is the one that was sent today as a part of
It was also
Oh.
sent.
this is the same one that he
Right.
emailed us,
Oh,
okay, okay.
all right.
because the number at the back end is the same, 28,761, 166.
Okay,
Now, if you want, we can look at the untouched override budget on the bus.
What does untouched mean?
That as it came from. Kind of like, because I get in and do things.
Oh,
okay,
yeah, let's look at the untouched.
yeah,
Because that's what you have had, and that's what you've had a chance to look at, so if there's questions, to look at and answer, then this is the one we go from.
Okay, so number one on the item, BOS salary, town administrator, NU, whatever
Mhm.
that is, non-union, okay.
Yeah.
They approved 129 for 25, and now they boosted up to 131.26. So it's a 2% change, $2,000 change. So is that,
I think somebody said
Cost
that
of
was in
living.
I thought that was in the contract.
That was in
Somebody
the
said-
contract.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so, yeah, there's gonna, most department heads are gonna have a personal services contract. And
so these contracts don't take into consideration
We-
merit, a good work? Can you
No.
call that?
No,
No,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, the other part, when we go back and look at the 129, that was Nelson's salary for last year, a temporary administrator, and
Oh, that was Ross, included Ross, 129?
correct, it's kind of like, because that would have been more than Nelson's salary for the year. But when we did this, August special town meeting, there was some money put in for paying for the interim.
Has he gone away now, or are we still using him?
I believe Nelson does not call him anymore. It's kind of like, so he
They
was
broke up.
on retainer. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, he was, as much as he could, he wasn't calling, he was trying to dig out the answers and get them.
so that's fully Nelson's new salary, 131.26.
Correct,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate the proposed cut
contract.
column.
yeah. it's
I-
kind of
I
like
wanna
that.
What's the,
see.
I don't see it.
Okay, on the top of up here, on the top, it says proposed cut.
It does?
It's misleading the way it's.
I don't see it, it's not on
Well, yeah, it's,
well, it's not on the one in the article.
mine.
That you've got the sheet, you've got the
Oh,
file,
you
Oh, okay, so it doesn't.
she
say.
printed the article.
Okay, so.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
it's on,
sorry.
it's
Oh,
on,
okay.
It's on,
yeah,
the- yeah.
So these are the proposed
in the warrant,
cuts.
that's,
yeah, so, but
Well,
it's.
No,
what, no.
no,
it-
what you've got is you've essentially got the equivalent of the proposed cuts column, but you're not seeing the
proposed-
column before the proposed cuts, because you've just got the
Well,
file from the article.
See,
Okay,
it's
so
here,
the
I don't
art-
need to be more confused, actually.
but if you look at the proposed FY 26 cut column, it's,
Oh, that column's not here.
Right,
so, to
Right.
me, when I read it, it looks like they're proposing to cut.
Cut him 131.30.
right.
But that's not, but Dawn didn't explain to me that
It's after, yeah, it's kind of like
it's very,
proposed after cuts. If you throw in the word after in there, that's really what it is.
but see, I would rather see if it was cut $2,000, I'd like to see $2,000 in that
Exactly,
column.
and not
Because-
proposed, I mean. well,
Because
Yeah.
Okay,
it-
well, this
it's
one
kind,
actually says change 2,250.
oh, okay, well,
Mhm.
that's
Well-
better.
Well, but that's just from FY 25. That's not,
Right.
Oh, it's not from what?
it, on
Ah,
the line, so the line was 129.
yeah,
So the line was 129,000 in FY 25.
mhm,
Again, we know that's not a single person salary, that is the total salary for intern
Mhm.
and
everybody.
TA for
Mhm,
the
Yeah.
year.
yeah.
Yep.
So now, yes, it looks like it only went up $2,000 this year, but this is a full year of Nelson's salary for his current contract. So yes, it went up $2,000, but his salary went up more than $2,000.
Because he didn't get all the 129.
He didn't get all the 129. So that's all I'm saying
Yep,
is for
yep.
clarity,
For clarity,
it's kind of like this is a full year salary
gotcha,
for Nelson in his contract
for 2026.
for 2026.
So 2025 is Nelson Ross and anyone else who's participating in that in
That may
2025.
have, yeah,
Okay,
So we don't really know.
so now if I look at that, then where it says proposed cuts of the salaries the same, that means it's just gonna stay the same for FY 26.
Right.
With
Okay,
no cut, no increase, it just
Right.
stays the same.
so the next one, BOS Executive Assistant, non-union.
Yep.
So that
Stays the same.
That changed, that went
Well-
up $2,000.
From
Yeah,
It went
last
up
year.
four,
last year.
Yeah,
no, I
So
get
that's
it,
the-
I get
that's
it,
the
and it went up 4.47%. Is that part of the contract? To increase 4.47?
I think, didn't they all get a 4%?
No,
What?
That position shouldn't have a contract.
It's, but didn't they all get a 4%? When
They
we
got a-
went
A
through,
4 is 4, but 4.47 is not 4.
well, okay,
What do you mean? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It's not,
no, you're right, it's closer to 5, well, 4.5.
well, it's 4.5.
Yeah, 4
It's
and a
not
half,
4.
yeah, 4
And
and a
if
half.
4 is a number, why are we doing an
Yeah.
extra half? Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I like looking at. You can see everything, yeah. Temporary help went away completely.
yeah, so those are the changes.
Yeah.
Um,
Community services went away. Oh, and what happened to, remember we talked about this? Does that mean her benefits also, not benefits, but that money that they were saving? Remember they were saving 10, 20,
Yeah, the 20,
Okay.
yeah, the build-up fund.
the build-up fund?
we were trying to build up the tolerance into the budget so that we'd be able to fully take on the salary in the position when ARPA money goes away.
Correct, but now we decided that she's gone, the position is gone. Where's the money?
You'll see it a little bit further down when we get to town clerk. If you're talking community outreach,
Yes.
Yes.
okay, then that's my answer.
Cryptic answer?
No, hey,
Okay,
um,
all right, we'll move down. So then we
Okay,
got, so
okay.
she, so, all right, so, all right, whatever that might
Point of
be.
clarity, you were asking about the build-up money.
Correct,
Right,
I think Don's referring to the,
to the what? To the ARPA money?
to the ARPA money.
So those are two different things,
Those are
right?
two different things. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. The build-up money is gone. So when we look at this year's budget,
Mhm.
we're not building towards that. We're gonna have a higher percentage if we take those salaries on.
Yeah, but where'd the money go? That's my question.
It went into free cash. It's part, if we don't use it to pay the salary, and we didn't, at the end of the year, it gets certified as part of free cash. So the money for last year went in. For this year, again, this is, if you look at the 2020, FY 2025,
Mhm,
when we close this year in June,
mhm.
in about December or January, we're gonna see those 40,000 as part of free cash. Because we didn't.
Because we didn't use it.
Right,
So it'll come back to us, but it comes back in free cash.
But I thought we put free cash for school.
No, that's what this year's
No,
free
that's-
cash.
Oh, okay.
Next year, we get a new bucket of free
so
cash.
I'm sorry,
point of
it's kind of like,
clarification, you guys were putting that aside on the previous year too.
10,000.
It was
Yeah.
3 years, wasn't it?
It-
So,
24,
but
25.
what you're saying is if you don't spend it 1 year, it goes to free cash. So if it was
It-
built up the year prior, Don, What happened to the money from the year prior if you were building it up?
It's free cash, that's the free cash we just spent. So
That
the
doesn't
two
make any
ten,
sense.
okay,
If you
so
were putting it in to build it up year over year,
the
But what
budget,
he's saying
the
is it was
operating
being
budget.
put into the budget. It wasn't, you weren't taking money and sticking it in a little container.
we
It
were
was
trying-
just in the budget. It was a budget number.
we were trying to build the operating budget up to be able to support the positions.
But doesn't it represent real money?
It represents real money that if you didn't use it at the end of the year, it's,
It becomes part of the free cash
I
bucket.
get what you're saying, Kim, because you're saying if it was 20,000 in 2024,
right.
and we didn't put it into free cash.
No,
we
we
did.
did. That's
It-
what
Do we
Don
know
is
that for
saying.
sure?
Yes, because at the end of FY twenty-four,
Mhm.
which was January or June of last year,
Mhm.
that was just certified in January, that there was the 479,000.
But if she was still working,
She was paid by ARPA.
paid by ARPA.
So the build-up money
so the
was
build-up money was,
separate.
so the build-up money built up and then it went away the next year because we didn't use it. I don't
No,
know.
it didn't go away. It got moved.
I think the buildup is not like a savings account,
Mhm.
Right.
is what it, like, I'm think the buildup is to
To
inflate the
support it in
budget
the
by
operating
that
budget.
amount.
Oh,
So that
inflate
the
the
next year
budget.
we do 2.5% more on that and inflate the budget again.
Right.
Okay.
To eventually absorb it, we're starting to gradually fund it, not really though. It's just like a placeholder.
Placeholder.
Right,
it was a
placeholder.
Yeah,
And then when that money didn't get expended, it rolled over to the next
Next
year as
year,
part of
okay.
free
All
cash.
right, because when you say build up, it's not really building up.
It's
No,
building
In
up
the budget.
building up the
Yeah,
total budget
okay, all right.
Yeah.
by those amounts.
Okay.
So now we're not doing that.
And now we're not, right.
So this
Okay.
year, FY twenty-six is gone to zero.
Community service persons off the plate.
Yeah.
Human resources manager's gone down to zero, so she's.
No, it says funded fully by APRA in FY
Where does it
twenty-six.
say that?
Right there.
See in the
In
notes,
Oh.
Oh, I don't have notes.
You don't have notes.
I don't
So-
have that on there.
so
Fully
that-
funded by her.
and
But I
that's,
thought we asked for that to be
We did.
terminated and reallocated.
we did,
We asked, yes.
we asked.
Oh, but they didn't.
I guess they didn't agree
They
with our
didn't agree with
ask.
us, okay.
They didn't,
Yeah,
they didn't agree
We
with our
should-
ask.
still
we
there.
made the recommendation.
Right.
So we can make the recommendation to the people,
Yes,
because if they ignore us, the people might be okay with it.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, put a star next to that one. Okay, so then grant administrator, we don't even have one. so-
No, we have a grant administrator, but it was moved from the Board of Selectmen into land use area. So
Okay.
this is a line that has, it's a legacy line. It's kind of like we need to.
So the $4,000 for professional services hasn't changed?
Okay,
Town
so,
report,
no,
land transfer.
I believe the professional services, they said was the printing of the town report.
Oh, right.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of like, yeah, we're going back on our,
I thought that was professional services, town report, professional services.
Oh, yeah, because we have town.
Yep.
pro-
They get
Yeah.
9,000 there for that. So
Is
that's,
it
so we
4,000?
don't know what that is, so that's like,
So the 4,000, and then we have the town reports is 5,000.
but I understand town
Right.
report printing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Other services, I don't understand
Mhm.
that. Okay, so then we've got the webmaster, and we've
Yep.
got office supplies.
Right.
Other supplies.
Mhm. So the office supplies has been cut, and again, you're not highlighted in yellow, but in our version, they're highlighted in yellow to show the lines that they have.
Okay. Travel and mileage went down to. Oh, never got changed. Training and contractual stated 22. Park
Yeah,
and ride,
yeah,
dues and membership. What, didn't we ask what those dues and membership, and we just got a vague? I mean, does everybody, I think that's
It's-
important to know what that
right,
is.
okay,
They ignored us.
no, because they have the same thing, they can go to MMA, they can go to the.
Yeah, yeah,
But do they both go or just one go? We paying for two or we paying for one? What are we
we
doing?
don't know. That's a mystery.
And if we go to a 5 select board, will that increase?
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, we don't even know what it is, right? When we go to 5.
If we go to
If-
five.
When we go to
When-
Oh,
5.
we go to five.
When.
Then all of these.
3 is not working, let's be honest. Okay.
Why do you think 5 will be better?
Well, but at least there'll be somebody there to run the show, you know, if they
If you have
walk
2 meetings,
out.
you still have a majority board, you can still run the town.
Less.
Yeah.
Could
So
probably
we
get
can
away
walk
with
out.
Well,
Yeah.
No, I know.
You saw
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah,
So it's a bit of a safety valve.
Safety.
but then again,
But then it's gonna increase,
the budget,
it's gonna increase the Board of Selectmen
But
costs.
you don't know,
It
maybe
really
they'll,
is.
maybe
It's
they'll
not.
be less negligent about spending, you never know. 5 people have to justify stuff if they change.
And again, there's no salaries for board of select board. So if we're talking.
They're making the big bucks.
Could be their travel, could be.
Yeah,
could be
but I
their
mean,
charges,
yeah.
Yeah.
kinda-
And there's our refund, 10,000.
Right, we dropped from 50,000 to 40,000.
But we're gonna regain that in December, right?
We hope we can
We're
ask,
going.
we try asking.
Now here's the accounting salary, so
Yeah.
she went up only 14. Now where's that line item that, remember she told us that she was making more
Yes.
because the other company was making less?
Yes.
Remember that one?
yes, because she was,
At
she
the
was-
last joint meeting, the board of selectmen had
Cut
informed
herself.
us that, it was not, memorialized, they could not find anywhere with the prior board. And,
She was told something, she believed it, and guess what?
and has been getting paid that.
And had been getting
If you,
paid
if you
that.
look at the BBA, you'll see that it's over.
And then now they decided it wasn't memorialized, so she's out of luck.
so they cut her
Wow.
salary.
So they cut her salary.
They
They
went
cut her
back to
salary?
the salary.
What a
that-
way to win friends and influence people.
I'm sorry, I just have to say that her salary was not cut. She's getting a 4% increase.
But it looks like,
Over the, yeah, it doesn't look that way from,
but here it says proposed cuts, that her salary's going down from 74 to 66.
It's not highlighted. There was no contract that had the 74,000 in it.
Okay,
We understand.
okay.
Okay, so that, all right, let's move on to the next. You don't want to pick that down. So accounting wages, support staff, is that the company?
no, the support staff is Lee O'Brien. So
Oh,
she-
another person.
another person in the office.
Who did not get cut, okay.
No, because her salary has been. and then
Union, I see.
Earlier in the year, her
The
longevity,
stipend is what it is.
she passed and bumped up on the longevity, and that's why the increase over.
The tax services, that's separate.
The tech services, okay, the tech services is that location where we've been cutting, and you see in.
That company?
That's the company, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Markham, I think it's like Sika now or something, like they've been acquired again.
Accounting professional taxes.
Is that the,
This is the audit, you haven't seen an audit yet, you will be seeing audit soon.
Now, what kind of audit is this?
This is a full audit of our books, every year we have to have a full audit of the books, the auditors come in, and request from the treasurer, the accountant reports, and they go back and do a full audit. In the end, they will give us their findings,
Mhm.
recommendations, and we will have a joint meeting with finance committee, audit committee, and board of selectmen. And I am the audit committee rep from finance committee, it was a position voted in December of last year, and we just continued it, so that was.
So then we go down to the assessor, and that,
Yeah.
we knew that was happening, because when we talked to her, remember?
Mhm.
Wages, support staff for the board
Okay.
of,
Now, something that we haven't seen, and when we get to the articles, for the assessors, when you mention it, just because we're an assessor,
Mhm.
there have usually been a warrant article for X number of $1,000, 8,000 to put in an account, so we're instead of having a 1 year bump, 25,000 to pay for the revaluations.
Right.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we wanna make sure that we see that.
Clothing went up to $1,400 from $850.
For the assessors?
Where are you?
I'm on line 58.
Clothing allowance.
What is, why
Wasn't
does?
it $850?
Well, there's two
No, it
in
looks-
the assessor's office.
Oh, two.
Oh, and they
So
don't get the
probably an
same.
eight, they don't get the same. I think it's
Okay.
an 825 or
What do they need
600.
clothing for?
The Board of Assessors do go out.
Do they go out in the mud? Okay,
Yeah,
We'll
there.
be talking about
They
that.
do field
okay,
trips,
okay,
field trips up
okay.
and around town.
Okay.
Is that a year?
I
Yeah.
guess,
Yep.
every year they
Every
get
year they get $800?
a new
They-
clothing
they-
allowance for work. It's
Union-
great.
Union contractors, yep.
Yeah.
Are they wearing Townsend logos on these things?
It would be nice if they did. I don't know if they,
I think
don't
if
know
we're
if they
paying
do
for it, we
that.
should, they should be.
Yeah,
Well, there should be a vendor.
Should be, but he's, right,
Right.
like, building heads. the
Everybody gets to
building-
wear the same shirt.
yeah.
so,
Well, it can be cuter.
Well,
Well,
You know, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be, you know, that gross
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm putting Steinmex clothing allowance, because I think that's,
That should be a negotiation.
I
for
really
the
Well,
think
next
so.
trip.
it's-
And then
the
there's
new the negotiations are for the other, like, 4, did they say, or next year?
Next year, yeah.
Yeah, next year.
I'm not opposed to it, but, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be,
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
I understand longevity, that's fine, I can do that, okay. Maintenance for the Board of Assessors, repair and maintenance
Repair and maintenance.
for their equipment? Or do they have cars or?
No, they don't have cars. Trying to think of it. I think this was their software, what's their software that they're using?
Okay,
Because we don't have something that says software, so they, a lot of it ends up in repair and maintenance.
oh, here's that mapping for MRC.
Mhm.
This is just their mapping, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patriot Consulting.
So the Patriot Consulting, you'll see that's the
Mhm.
expense that gets moved over from the annual,
Yeah, this is
Annual-
pretty much what she said when she came in.
right, yeah. And you can see that on, with the, for us, the yellow lines, they've cut and reduced.
Mhm.
Office supplies, dues and membership, they've cut down.
Treasurer collection wages. What is that? Treasurer,
Treasurer collector wages, non-union, that would be,
and what's a 77? That's a non-union, and then down below it's a union.
the union is the staff in the office, there's
Oh,
two.
okay, oh, there's two, okay. Oh, so one will be Melissa and one will be Jody, right?
No, Jody's assessor,
Oh,
Anthony?
Jennifer and
Rebecca.
Anthony,
Rebecca
Rebecca, and then,
and Anthony.
yes.
That's what she told us. Oh. That's what's really good stuff there.
Yeah.
Professional and technical services, that went up.
Yeah, she gave us, if we go back to the books, she gave us a list and a breakdown of everything, she had software contracts. that
Oh,
were going-
right.
that were going up this year. And she gave us the full list of everything that's in that line.
Right. Something. Town council. Oh,
Okay,
right,
so
yeah.
everybody good with tax
Mhm.
collector?
Yeah.
Town
Pretty
council,
much what she told us.
Yeah. town council, the legal,
They went up 3%.
they went up 3%. They were originally trying to go to 85, so they backed it off 2,500. Their rates did go up this year, so, in judging from where we are in the BVA so far this year, it looks good, so maybe we can stick within that if we have the same kind of legal year.
And then do we
Yeah.
shop the legal or do we just stick with it?
So far, we've been sticking with the company,
Mhm.
that we got the contract with, and that's been our town council. He was out of town at the town meeting and we had somebody different, so by having it as, with a full office, they can substitute people as necessary so people can take vacations.
Mhm. And information, so.
Um, and MIS, management information.
Right.
Your IT.
That's your IT.
Oh, this is the one, yeah, Guardian,
Guardian is the big dollar.
the 160?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so what they,
we were
what
gonna
they
look
did,
at this, remember?
um,
We were gonna look at that, but not for
we can,
this,
yeah, not for this, right
right?
now.
yeah.
So they went back and discussed with the contract, the conversation I had said that they reduced the number of hours per month a little bit to bring it back to the 160 instead of the earlier.
But 40 hours at 160, that's a number.
No,
Oh.
it's gonna, they reduced a couple of hours and
We have some clarity on that.
Yeah.
And I believe that one of the stuff people were on. When that contract went out to bid, was it a recurring contract that it could just continue? Because usually there's a sunset, like it's 3 years and it's really good or renegotiated.
Is that
It seemed
Guardian?
like
right, I think it was the last contract was 2022. So if it's up for rebid, it's
Is that, did you say it's Guardian?
Well,
yeah.
it appeared to me like during one of the stuff where it was given authorization, the town administrator to sign the contract.
Mhm.
And if it was a 3 year, should not that have gone back out to bid or other bidders to see? if
Oh,
that
Guardian.
Mhm.
Okay.
better-
I have the contract. The contract term ends 30 June 25. And so, but it automatically renews with no more than a 10% increase if neither party says anything. So the board of, so if the town doesn't say anything and Guardian doesn't say anything, it automatically renews with it up to a 10% increase or no more than 10% increase.
So how are we not reshopping that?
Well, I don't know who,
That's a good question.
well, to me, I would never sign a contract that had an automatic renewal.
Exactly. So who's doing the contract?
So, but
Dave asked if for these negotiations, if a person from FinCom could be present.
Well, I was asking for the union contract negotiation,
and
not necessarily this one.
Well, I think you need to be on all of them.
but the other one is MetroGov automatically renews. The term expires 30 June 25 with an automatic renewal with a 3.5% increase.
So we gotta look at that one too.
So personally, I would never sign a contract that has an automatic renewal.
And I guess my question would be from a FinCom perspective, what would you recommend to us as voters? We're being
Mhm.
given automatic pension clauses for service vendors. to provide savings.
But if it sounds like they may have already given.
I don't know, and if that is the case, it seems like there's a fiscal hiccup there.
Let's see, do
No,
they
I-
have till the end of
So our
the
recommendation, you mean our recommendation across the board on these kind of contracts?
And this
Well,
one in particular, if it's not signed, it doesn't,
I don't know if it's been signed. Has it been signed?
No, it sounds like you,
well, I
They were
heard
given
something on
directions
the
to do
board
it.
of selectmen meetings, we're not allowed to ask questions at those.
Correct, yeah, so you gotta ask them
I'm
here,
asking
yeah,
here
that makes
Oh,
sense.
okay,
There's
so-
intervention from the FinCom that could be made and some type of guidance that
I
we
think
don't do an automatic renewal and that we should be rebidding.
What's today? Today is,
22nd.
okay, I think we're too late. Okay, what
Why?
if this says, this one Guardian, this
Oh, you
is
gotta give them a
Guardian,
30-day notice?
90,
A 90-day notice.
is KC,
Somebody's not paying attention.
Someone
Okay,
is not
the-
watching the shot.
so it says this SLA commences on the date of acceptance of this contract. It continues for 3-year term unless terminated sooner in accordance with the termination provisions of this agreement. The term will renew automatically for successive one-year periods, subject to no more than a 10% increase, unless either party notifies the other in writing of its desire not to renew at least 90 days prior to the expiration of the then current term.
Well, they must have done something, because it didn't increase.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I.
But it would have done, okay, so they
So
must have done
if-
something.
I don't know if
If they
they,
were doing a one-year term, it's kind of like. maybe
we don't know.
time on the next, right.
Yet again, we don't know.
But I guess we
Well-
could make a recommendation that for the, it's probably too late for this year, but
But
For next-
year,
I
go out
hope
for
it
bid.
wasn't another
to go out for
3-year.
bid.
Excuse me?
I hope it wasn't another 3-year.
No,
Does
it said 1 year.
Okay, thank you.
Well, but,
Well, how do
they
you know
could
what they
have
did?
possibly negotiated another
Another
3-year deal.
So we'll.
Oh,
we'll see.
we are, that's true.
Right, if they just, could, because like Don said, they did some negotiation because they reduced the
This, yeah,
hours to get
yeah.
us back to the same amount.
That's true.
And so what we don't know is that term 1 year or 3 year.
We'll-
So can we find that out?
Yep, sure.
Then we can make our motion. Well, we probably should. This isn't the only contract. So,
Right, I think there'll be more.
now here's a really good one. The town clerk that decreased.
Okay, so if we're good with MIS,
Well, not really, but
okay,
we're moving on. So the town clerk got
right,
demoted.
the,
What?
the
So how do you,
FY26 the FY 26 number for town clerk.
How can you start at the
so
number
how
like
is
that?
it that you pick and choose who you're gonna bump and who you're gonna reward?
What, the town clerk should go down.
Oh, okay,
As of
so-
the 30th of the month, we have a new, brand
I
new,
know, but look how much it went down,
like, where's, I'm not seeing it.
Oh,
So,
went from 40,
I was gonna say, ignore that.
Ignore
Okay,
what?
so, ignore column G. So if you look at column F, town clerk salary was for FY 25 was 79,280.
right,
And what they're saying, it's an elected position, and there's gonna be a new town clerk coming in. So
mhm,
they're recommending that they go to the supervisor, grade F, step 1, for a 40-hour job to be the $70,000 for the new town clerk that it is
Right.
elected.
oh, I see,
Coming
so
in.
they created, all right,
okay.
So, yeah, so it's a decrease, but you're losing somebody with experience that's gone through the steps,
Right,
year over year.
okay, so that's, I guess that's
That's the town clerk on it.
good, yeah.
correct, okay. So, then we have the other staff,
Then we have the assistant.
and this is, oh, they don't want Jess to work anymore at
Okay,
the town
well,
clerk's
this-
office?
Okay, so you're seeing that piece. If you look up on the screen, line 120 for the operating staff, the note is $19,000 funding for ARPA. So when you,
Okay, yeah, but ARPA's gonna run out.
ARPA will run out, so when we get to FY 27, we need to be able to plan for a 4% increase over last year to this
Or they're
number,
right.
with a 4% increase in FY 27's budget, which will be about 54,000.
So point of clarification,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, it's not of the 19,000 from ARPA, it should say with an additional 19,000 from ARPA.
To fund, yeah.
Additional,
Well,
keyword,
but-
additional,
but-
creating new positions
It's
for
my,
ARPA.
yeah, so this is a union position, so,
So this is a
This-
new position?
no, this is a union position. and not-
Oh, how's the union
not-
feel about this?
Well, they're not, the salary doesn't change, the salary is not changing, they're still gonna get paid their full amount. It's just that some comes from the town, some comes from ARPA to make the position whole.
Yeah, but it won't be there next
But
year.
I thought the
Well,
assistant,
But it
was
has to
going
be
away.
in our operating budget, that's why I have asked for, give me something beyond FY 26. Let's see what FY 27 looks like, let's see what it.
You
okay,
really don't,
28.
I guess they
So-
don't think like that.
I,
So,
I've started to put it together, that's why.
so when the townspeople get their packet,
Mhm.
it's gonna look like this, it's not gonna be that.
No, And
So the townspeople are gonna see, oh, we have a new town
We're
clerk
saving.
coming in.
Yeah.
And oh, we are gonna cut the assistant
That's
after
what
12 months or however many months. So we're not encouraging, ooh.
So if the assistant now is gonna move to a new job, are they gonna
But how do
hire
we
him?
know that? We don't know.
We-
Well,
They're assuming, but maybe not.
maybe not, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're
Because you
saying.
would think you would wanna keep the assistant
Assistant.
if you're getting a new
You-
one to help the transition
Transition.
for however, at least 12 months, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree,
Yeah,
yes.
so-
Are they looking at opera as if to say if it goes away, they appoint?
I guess the town
No,
assistant
no,
will go
no, no,
away.
this is the assistant town clerk, it is not the town clerk.
It's the assistant, but,
Okay.
so there will not be
It-
one
it
next
is still
year.
appointed.
Next year will be gone, because there's no more ARPA funds.
I'm not saying,
So they're trying to say that we'll put in 20 extra thousand to hold it, as a holder, as
well,
a marker.
but what they're saying
That's what
is,
it basically
to
boils
fund the
down to.
position for this year, there's two pieces. There's a piece that comes from the town and there's a piece that comes from ARPA.
I don't understand how we are able to use those ARPA funds for salaries.
Very, very similar to, it said zero, but if you're paying the salary, it is coming from ARPA. So this is a.
You
this
gotta
is a
make up
partial-
the 20 grand. You have to make up the 20.
Yeah,
Like,
Once it goes away.
once it goes away, you
Yeah.
So no, yeah, so what do we
Yeah.
tell whoever it is? You might not have a job next year?
no, I don't, I'm not reading that. This is all about a one-year budget. That's all I'm seeing here. Is trying to get here and make a one-year budget, get it passed.
But
so that 20
When you
more
get to
thousand you're gonna have to come up
clear,
with.
to be fair, right now, the Board of Selectmen have decided that they're the whole ones that hold the budget, so from a townsperson perspective, I would think that it would be better served to have it become the Board of Selectmen's budget, where they have been the ones that have been the sole decider, and
Right.
the funds have been under the Board of Selectmen's line item.
I agree. I think that's a very good recommendation. I think we should make that. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Right,
picking and
Do it, yeah,
choosing.
do it to the
But
executive,
make
yeah.
it be consistent, that's where that's where
Exactly,
the
yeah.
Community Services Coordinator, that's where the 19,000 lies is under the Board of Selectmen's budget. Just like the HR position is under the Board of Selectmen's
Mhm.
budget, that's where that revenue lies.
Yeah.
So put it there, it's, I think, cleaner for the townspeople to understand where it's coming from.
I think that's a good suggestion. Of course,
But what are you
we
applying
can't do
it to
anything about
there?
it.
Well,
The
if you,
executive assistant salary.
right, yeah, so if we go,
Okay.
I'm just gonna,
Who's,
120, so I'm just gonna go back up
didn't you
to the
say
top.
she's not in the union either?
No, she's union.
No,
She
she's
is
not
union?
union, she's not union.
No, Jess is
Jess
union.
is your.
No, but the executive assistant is non-union.
Oh, yeah, the executive to the Board of Selectmen is non-union, correct, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Okay. Town clerk, oh yeah, we went through all this, and this is zero, no change.
But you guys are recommending that.
We had a change, so with the, didn't she come in last week and ask to increase the election
there
budget?
was the election budget increase.
I think
Due to
too
the
many
fact that we got rid of the
constable.
constable,
So,
and
What are we gonna do about, are we gonna
we,
make a recommendation on the floor that we don't get rid of the constable?
We did,
we don't have any,
I thought we did do that.
I think it has to be on town meeting floor.
Oh, town meeting floor, okay. We did do something.
I know we
We did make that recommendation at our last meeting.
well, obviously, it didn't go too well.
So, get a clarification, because the FinCom recommends the budget, are you going to have a whole presentation first on your recommendations? in
That's what we
totality?
wanted to do this year. And we discussed having John Barrett, the moderator, let the Board of Selectmen read and then have a comment from the FinCom. He hasn't agreed to that yet, right?
no, I haven't asked.
Oh.
It's kind of like, but if we look, Article 2 is to, or one is to take any reports from any board, so it's right there. for us.
Well,
At
I
the
mean,
beginning.
I just would feel better if we were part of the,
Right, the discussion on the article, but it doesn't. we
I
can
don't
always-
like raising my hand
Yeah, well,
because
that's,
he can't see us.
right, so it's.
I think
location,
it
but
should say selectmen, and then what does the FinCom have to say about, because it's apparent that people want to hear what we have to say. But maybe not the selectmen, maybe not the town administrator, maybe not the people who are creating the budget, but I think the town wants to hear what we have to say. They've demonstrated that, I believe. So I think we should be next, part of the program. Because remember,
Yeah,
we
well-
are state appointed because of the size of the budget we have. We're not just created for no reason. So do you think that John will,
I can talk to John, we'll see where we sit, because if it's at the high school, it's gonna be a different setup, so we'll see.
oh, is it possible for
I-
the high school?
I think I saw something about the high school, yeah,
High school, yeah.
yeah,
For the May town meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, just high school, on
Yeah.
page one.
Oh,
at
So
the
we'll see.
auditorium.
So we'll see how.
North
the- how the
Middlesex
setup is.
Performing Arts Auditorium, nice. To either the constables, we don't have any, so who's gonna post?
Should have been posted today, 2 weeks out.
Also before they left. Okay. So we're gonna have another meeting to create our recommendations and who's
sheet,
gonna
and
say
then-
what
Yeah,
and who's gonna speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have a platform.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, we will
All right.
Everyone's in
see.
favor of that?
okay, so
You're
the
okay with that?
elections is line 142.
Yeah,
Okay,
The elections, professional services, that was,
increase.
yeah, it was, what, 3,700?
Yeah, you need to review G, column G.
Okay, hang on.
gee,
I can do. That's why I like my mouse better.
There you go.
Thank you. It's kind of, I had hidden it, so.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
it had been 3,700 as we were earlier this year. And now it's at 4,500 because of the, we're using.
Is it
police instead of
$800?
constable.
Yeah,
Per election.
per election.
yeah.
Please scroll up.
Okay.
I mean,
The one, because it said 19,000, reduced 19,000 for ARPA funds, right? But in the warrant one that came out today, they reduced it 17. The assistant clerk.
Oh, okay. That's-
Let's see that. Oh, 17,336?
Yeah, but it says 19,000 from ARPA there.
So how does that reconcile?
And where's the
Where's the
17?
rest of the money?
No, I think the minus 17
Is-
is just the difference from FY 25. And if you add 19 to the 27,
That makes sense.
you come up with 46,7.
Yeah.
So that's why you see that's why you see that
All the
difference.
columns are different on the warrant.
Yes, the columns are different on the warrant than they are on this, right?
Yeah,
So,
Because the warrant basically is just doing, I think, columns F and H.
right, which is
Essentially.
why I hit it so that.
Right, or is it maybe doing column E? Is that column E or column?
yeah.
It will probably be column F, because that was what was finalized for the budget
Okay,
after
all the, yep,
the special town meeting.
right.
Yeah.
So the clerk is pretty much what she told us.
The clerk, yeah.
With the exception of that
Right.
elections
Yeah,
increase.
and then the changes that they had done, the reduction of office supplies, postage, and the conference.
So now we have conservation. 39,46,6. How'd that happen?
Okay, so registrars have nothing conservation. Which one are you?
164. Last year it was 39. This year it's 46. That's a big jump.
Well, the notes, and you don't see the notes, it
Right.
says partially funded by ARPA in past years. So this is.
In past years.
Right, so the 39,000, I think they were funding 5 hours per week with the ARPA funding. And so the ARPA funding for that position is over, and so they've brought it to 46,000.
So what position is this actually? What's who's
The conservation agent.
Isn't that Cody?
is that Kobe Streeter or is that Beth Faxon?
No,
That would be
that's Cody.
But he wasn't there last year.
You still budget for the position. And again, if we didn't use the money, it becomes free cash, or at the end of the year, we can transfer, do municipal.
But with,
municipal.
he's union, so he automatically increases after 6 months? Is that how that goes? He's only been there a couple of months, right?
Yeah, it's only been, he was recently hired.
Right, yeah, again, as we hire, bring people in,
Oh, so we increased his, but we decreased the town clerk. Okay, I get it. No, I
Yeah,
see how
we-
this works. I get it.
And he was hired new. So there is a little conflict there.
Yeah, I would say so. I guess it's pick and choose, friends and family.
well,
Actually, I would like to speak to that. Amber, who was in the position and had only been in a few months, was also hired at the same rate as Colby. There were funds from ARPA which have been removed, so it is an entry-level position.
Which step did he start at, Veronica, please?
I don't know the step off the top of my head, and I don't have that information in front of me, but I'm sure you can look it up.
For you to watch the movie. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, here we go.
Okay, and then it just done,
$600 clothes allowance, okay.
okay,
And what's 160? Conservation Commission, okay. Material services. I guess that's the same as everything, right?
yeah, the only two ones that changed were the 169 and 171. Reduced $200 for the supplies and materials.
Right,
100 for the dues and memberships.
Yeah. Dues and memberships for MRPC.
Different than the mapping.
No, I understand. Now, the MRPC, that is the state mandated because we're considered close to the MBTA.
No, that's the
That's the
MBTA.
that's, yeah,
MRPC is Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission.
Oh.
So
they get,
they do a lot of central mass, a little. you know.
they do grants
Okay, the
and
open
stuff.
space.
Yeah, they do.
Um,
And I just found out that I guess they forgot a whole section. Something.
So we won't be getting grants? Is that what's?
Well,
the
it's not,
consequence?
they're doing a whole thing at the senior center. I don't even understand why, but I signed up for it just so because of the chairperson, and I wasn't even, I only found out by accident. And I thought it was conditionally approved by the state, and then I find out that they like
I thought so
lost the
too.
whole section, and I don't even know anymore.
Okay, so this is the planning board. Support staff. What happened to that? Or whatever.
Mhm.
Longevity. Professional services. and that.
So that was.
So that one's the same as we were told.
Mhm.
Wages for the Board of Appeals, zoning board of appeals.
Mhm.
Labor stairs, is that Beth Faxon too?
Yeah, she does quite a few in there.
Yeah, I think she's on 3 or
I
something.
think, yeah.
I think she gets paid from 3 different,
She's like administrative help, right?
Yeah.
Administrative help
Yeah.
across 3 departments.
Right.
yeah.
Land use wages. So they reduced the land, do we have a land use coordinator?
I believe the land use coordinator was an open position, if I heard the last.
No, I don't think we have.
But yeah, no, I don't think they
So
filled
this is
the
a
position.
placeholder again?
Well, the note is looking like a $45 an hour part-time contractor need to discuss with the union, so.
It's a union
It's
position.
it's a union position, so if they're gonna do something different with it, they need to have.
So there's $30,000 right there,
Well,
right?
It was reduced from the 52,995, which was originally proposed. So we're looking at doing it a different way, but if
Who's starting to sit down?
Yeah, that one, I believe the position was not filled. It's an open position and it sounds like they're working to change it.
To change it by hiring somebody or
To
terminate a position?
make it non-union and hire a contractor partially and at 30,000 instead of the 52,995.
Oh, question.
Yes,
I talked to Nelson about this and I
Yeah.
have a note from, the April 3rd meeting with the
Mhm.
select board, where Veronica had said this could actually be 15,000, and then Nelson told me that it could be 15,000 also, because it's just in there to do the stormwater reporting right now. And he didn't even think it was something that we necessarily needed right now, except to have somebody to do that, which might be better off on a contracted basis, but
Right. Yeah.
but it was said several times that that number could be 15,000.
So that could be
Okay,
reduced.
thanks. Sounds
So
like
we
it
can
could be reduced.
And we can recommend reduction based on the town administrator and selectmen comments. I'm just writing these for when we
Yeah.
solidify our
Right,
list.
yeah.
Then, thanks, Don. Then we have our land use, housing and grant administrator. Do we have that person? Is that the person
Right.
in the in the conservation office?
You're not talking about Vince.
No, not Beth, no, it's another person, it's a man.
I've never met the person, but I
Yeah,
know that they exist.
Oh, they do exist, okay, so and they're making 16,781. Okay,
that's in the budget.
okay. So they hired, so Aaron left and they hired somebody like that to tweet? Wow, interesting. So then we have the administrative system, again, this is Beth, right?
Yes.
Close, 850,
There-
no close.
Again, if you don't have a person.
You don't have a person, if they hire a contractor, then it's
Yeah.
a contract, they probably do it
Provides
themselves.
Okay. Good to know. So, well, land use, professional and technical services, if it's a contractor, do we have to pay for those? I mean, wouldn't it follow all the way through? Why would we pay $200 for mileage if it's a contractor? Why would we train him? And why would we pay for his dues and membership? Just asking.
Yep.
I mean, if it's
Good
one way,
question.
it's that way, if it's the other
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
You
it's
can't have it
kinda-
both ways.
No, you're right.
No, but it's kind of like, on the professional technical services, we don't have a list of what they are,
But we don't know what the contract is gonna,
well, right, and what tools they may need on
Need.
behalf of the town.
so we need more
to hire.
information.
Yeah,
That's more information.
Yeah. there's more information.
Facilities, oh, here we go. Okay.
There we go. Last
So that,
one for general government.
general government.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin with this. So that's the salary of the facilities person and his staff or just,
Department head.
Department head.
Top, yeah,
okay,
the maintenance tech. Who's
gone.
gone. And,
Maintenance custodian
Yeah.
stayed the same. Oh, no, we're not
yeah, went up a little bit from last year, yeah.
non-union.
Yeah.
And the administrative assistant?
Yeah.
To the facilities?
To the facilities, yeah.
Who's that? Oh, I know, Dawn.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. And then we have a part-time cleaner. Why does it say?
That was COVID, it was a specific COVID.
So that job doesn't exist.
That one doesn't exist anymore, the only other one is the temporary.
Oh, they got it now,
Fractional.
allowance for clothes.
Yeah, but it's supervisor, yeah,
That's that. Now,
and the auto allowance went away when we purchased the truck.
oh, right.
facilities.
Repairs went down.
Yeah, that was,
Did they stop repairing or is everything tip top?
They're probably just squeezing the budget
I
like they were
would
asking.
say trying to squeeze the budget.
Oh, okay.
That kind of,
Please.
Yeah.
Repair maintenance equipment. That went down, the other all went down. I'm nervous
Mhm.
about that. No, that's a 5-year plan, right? Well, you gotta maintain that.
you have to maintain things,
We're gonna end up with the bands.
you could, kinda,
Or we're gonna be paying mega bucks
Right.
later on.
All right, next, communications. Is that phone, what's that communication for the
I have to go
facilities
back and look and
people?
see.
Does anybody remember that? Dave, you remember everything. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember
I
that.
have it.
Communication. It doesn't have anything to do with police and fire, does it?
That might be the telephone systems for the building.
That would be under facilities?
That would, because we took it out of the library and
Oh,
council on aging. I'm pretty sure that's,
oh. They really cut their budget.
they did.
They really cut it.
Yeah,
It's kind of worrisome, but I guess,
if you cut the grass up, the water, if you don't use the water, you don't,
it'll die and then it'll look awful.
I don't think, yeah.
Oil and old brown is
And again, it's gonna be us to continue, but those that are cut,
Yeah.
they can ask for cuts.
It
They-
says
they
here, phone, radio, et cetera, for communications. That's what he's got for notes
Hmm.
on there.
He did cut one. Okay, now we're coming into the police department. They cut 11 oh no, that's. I see, that was it. The lieutenant was because it was miscalculated at that.
The
Beginning.
stipend was in there in the beginning, yeah.
So where's the new police officer?
The,
Line 258, I think.
salary and wages for officers.
Isn't it 3 police officers that are gonna be
Well,
new?
but we were assuming,
$67,000?
we made an assumption before we knew about the.
The- That's the school resource officer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But aren't they getting like 3 newbies, like out of the
Yeah,
The
academy?
training though, that was under the training
Training,
department.
okay.
That was under the training, but, this is where earlier it was at 904, now it's at 979.
Mhm.
So that's the increase for the school resource. So,
Oh, this
There's
is
22% increase in stipends, oh, I guess that just. Yes.
again, that was probably the lieutenant, adding the lieutenant into that.
Oh, right, he moved it out of salary, right.
We moved it out of salary and into the stipend line.
So they dropped their energy. Oh, they got the solar panels,
They-
is that
they-
gonna affect anything?
I think that's why he dropped his, energy
Oh,
I
yeah,
saw-
it's supposed to, isn't it? Isn't that the whole reason for doing
for
it?
doing it.
They
Yeah.
put them up, they're up now.
Yeah, but it's
How does that
a matter of getting him,
I'm not sure how. it
Well,
works.
it's probably,
They sell it, right?
no, if it's anything, so like what I have solar panels on my house. I pay a rate to the solar company
Right,
and then
get a check back.
no, I don't get a check back. If I overproduce, it gets fed back to Unitil and I get a credit.
Get a credit, yeah.
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 And so they're probably, I would imagine they're doing something
Same
similar.
thing, yeah.
So they still have to pay an energy bill, but now
Right.
they're paying it to somebody else
Right.
instead.
And you get covered parking.
So he, what's this one, professional services again? Oh, that's the training? $3,000
increase on professional services.
for the 3 new people.
I don't- No. we'll have to ask him again for clarification. I don't recall if we asked him for professional services before.
Oh, okay.
I'll go back over the notes that I
What
have.
line is it on?
278, I'm sorry,
274.
274,
Okay.
vehicle supplies.
Are you asking professional services?
Yes,
Maybe that's the PR firm and the psychological testing.
PR firm. PR firm. And the psychological test.
I think perhaps it is,
Mhm.
but you can double check that.
Other supplies. Do we talk about other? That's Jerry's other.
What?
Other. You like it when they say
Other,
what the
yeah.
other is. Travel mileage in the state.
$125,000.
Then miscellaneous are my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So he's pretty much the same as when he came in, right?
Right.
New equipment. Was that the debt? Is that the debt?
No, those are the cruisers.
Those are cruisers.
Lease.
Or the lease that he deferred? Okay,
Right, he
yeah,
deferred,
yeah,
he
yeah,
deferred it, so it jumped a lot this year because
Right.
now we're paying the
Yeah.
full year.
right.
Yeah.
There's the training. Increase the training, that must be for the training people.
And again, I think he went over this year's budget on there, so.
He went over, it, yeah.
Any other questions on police?
Anybody? Now we come to fire. Assistant fire chief. See, union, oh no, non-union, oh, these, oh, they're new,
Those are
oh, the
con-
top.
yeah,
dogs
Personal
are new.
contracts.
2%, 4.49 increase, that's union, and contract. Fireman EMS, oh, this is one person, the captain, or is that more than one person?
Judging from the wages, it's one.
Okay, and then the lieutenant,
What did you say? Was that one or two? One person?
it's one, so we have one fire chief, one lieutenant, I'm sorry, one assistant fire chief, one fire prevention captain, one operating staff lieutenant.
And then you're into the EMS captain.
Oh yeah, this EMS captain, who's that? Do you know?
We can get and look it up. If he's been appointed, it'll be online on the appointment positions.
And then the paramedics,
That-
that's a grouping, that's
a-
more
that's a
than one,
grouping,
right?
Yeah.
Do you know how many it is?
Not off the
Not
top of
be
my head,
no,
no.
okay, how many?
No. And the
That can vary.
most
too.
recent, it could vary, yeah, I mean, they could leave, it's kind of like it goes up and down.
So this is gonna, I know this is gonna blow everything out of proportion, but is there, and the fire budget is huge.
It is, but
So is there any squeezing at all with the fire, or are we just like, is that hands off because?
it, again, we've been, if we look at positions and things, if you eliminate a position, you're probably going to overtime and upping the overtime.
That.
It's kind of like,
yeah.
you've got a schedule 24/7
Mhm.
and
So there's no room in the fire at all?
no, it'd have to be in the expense area.
Oh, no, I'm not saying people necessarily, I'm
Yeah.
saying the whole,
You say the budget as a
the
whole.
whole budget as a whole, not necessarily people.
Is the,
And, yeah,
Well, wait a
there was one line. to
there's
replace
one line of
equipment.
questioning, yeah.
Replace equipment that was reduced by 5,000,
What line is that?
341.
Okay.
Um,
341.
what's the difference between? I'm sorry, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
back a
no,
little
no,
bit.
That's okay, I was looking at it this.
293 and 296, they're both at 116. Oh, well, no, they're both different, but they're both almost the same. What is the difference there?
Of the salary of the assistant fire chief?
No, one's a coordinator captain and the other one is a
The assistant fire chief,
assistant fire chief, I guess, I don't know.
they're making about the same salary.
Yeah,
I guess it could,
within $400.
yeah,
I thought I was seeing it twice, but because I was seeing it once or twice.
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all, it's not the same person, it's just the salary.
It's not the same person, right?
No.
But it's almost the same person.
It,
Well, it-
Yeah.
I don't know, never mind.
New equipment. Oh, fire/EMS new equipment. So what, that's not the truck. I'll tell you
that's not
that.
the truck, that is typically equipment.
What's that, 341 you're on?
Yeah.
339.
339 to 340, yeah,
339.
kinda, that's,
Like, it doesn't say what the new equipment is. I mean,
right.
don't you think that
We,
should,
we asked.
should we? Can we ask?
He listed off a
Well,
bunch of
actually,
stuff.
Was that bunker
I think
equipment?
it's-
stuff?
No,
No,
bunker equipment's under, TEMA.
No, but I mean, I think it's, like the breathing apparatus, your masks.
Oh, the stuff
Things to
to
wear out,
to
yeah.
Oh, the
change
helmets and stuff.
the ambulance from,
The
Basic
big
to
two
advanced.
life
No,
support.
No, I think,
That's the other, this is generally, turnout equipment and things they need to get to fires and be safe.
okay,
in the fire.
so
They
when
replace
he-
it sometimes-
when he
sometimes it's
got the new trucks, when he bought the new trucks, somebody asked a question about where do the old trucks go? And what happens, do we get,
I think that was my question.
I
but
think it was your question.
I don't think I ever got an answer.
He said something, well, they could be sold.
That's what he said, it could be sold if they refurbish, so they could be sold, we could get a good
Well,
price for
don't
them,
we
but I
get to
don't,
know
but
what
where
they're
are
doing?
they, where do they go?
Don't you think that's a good question?
I
It
think
should be answered.
Yeah.
But it sounded like if they refurbished them, they could sell them, but what if they don't refurbish them? Do
Well,
they
they
go?
get a lower price, right?
Well, yeah, they get a little price, or maybe nobody would buy them because maybe they don't have enough, whatever they need to put out a fire.
I gotta think you'd be able to sell them, but you wouldn't get nearly
Yeah,
as much of a
much.
price if it's not equipped.
Well,
Yeah.
do we get a turn-in price when, like a car?
I don't know.
No,
Trade-in, I
no.
don't think,
No, it didn't
Generally
sound
from
like
the
a trade-in.
So we just give them away, so we.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know what we.
No,
I
it should
thought-
be,
don't
it should
you
be
have to-
surplus equipment. You
Yeah,
have to-
surplus equipment, don't you have to
it's
go
a
through
minimum.
Oh,
process
Yeah.
to have
I
it
don't know.
voted as,
Oh,
Yeah.
surplus
to
and then,
deassess it or whatever they
And
call it?
then posted, yeah, and then posted and sold if it's surplus
Right,
equipment.
we did that with a car, didn't we?
We did, yeah. Or a couple years ago.
Yeah, so we're getting 2 new fire trucks,
Mhm,
brand spanking new, top of
Correct.
the line, Gold Bar.
correct.
So
They should be.
where
in
are the old ones?
Right now, I would say they're in the firehouse.
I think what she's asking is, what do we do with it? What's
so
the
are they
accountability
actual
of it?
replacements or they are in addition to?
Oh my
It's
God, they have to be
when-
replaced, they
when
couldn't
you-
possibly.
Yeah, when they were presented as capital planning, they were
Replacing.
presented as
Because they were 20 years old, 20,
Right,
21
so that's
years
the
old.
thing,
Yeah.
you're not, who's-
Okay, so what happened, can you
I don't
bring
know.
up to M&M Metal and have him,
I have no idea.
At least get scrap, scrap metal cost or something.
it's not, it's the third world and get, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think I think that should be answered, just for our own, oh, excuse me.
I have a question about the new fire trucks. We
Yeah.
did the 80,000 from free cash at the special town meeting.
Mhm.
Technically, shouldn't we have borrowed that because it's a price increase in something that was voted to be borrowed, which would then add $80,000
We-
back into the available free cash?
We believe so,
Can
yeah.
we correct that at the town meeting?
I have seen something similar, but I'd have to check with town council.
I did
I saw it
ask
in
that
another town.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry asked that question, I investigated, and they did a very similar thing in Ashby, as a matter of fact, it was. It's kind of like they brought back another, but it's too late to get a warrant article onto town meeting now.
So what can
Well,
we
is it too
do?
late to? Yeah, so we can get a warrant article on town meeting floor, okay.
Right, and I don't think you can, you can't bring something up like that unless it's on a warrant, on the warrant article. You can't just pop a question like that at town meeting.
But did they close this, I saw last year, the special town meeting warrant didn't close until the date of the special, of the actual town meeting? So if that's still open, couldn't we put it on the special warrant?
Let me check.
I don't know if they
We're
closed
we're
that.
2 weeks, it has to be posted today. They both have to be posted today. I don't believe you can change an ad warrant once they're posted.
There's. oh, yeah.
Nobody can bring it up on the floor, or?
That would keep the reserves intact.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, can't we ask a question and find out where the trucks go?
we can ask, yeah, yes.
Like,
We-
'cause
we
people
can
have
ask,
asked that.
And it could be
Townspeople.
outstanding, and we just haven't got it on their to-do list, so we'll ask again.
I mean, I'd be thinking about that yet, since they're waiting for the trucks to arrive. They can't dispose of them until they get the new trucks.
Right.
Right?
Well, I can't wait until tariffs kick in and they gotta come up with some X and we don't have that.
Well, I think,
Well, it's,
Oh, yeah, borrow that, yeah. That, we don't know, that's. an-
well,
what are
I
we gonna do
thought
with
that all
now?
the equipment, all the material was in the United States.
That's what they were told.
For the
That's what
first,
we were told.
for the
Yeah, but we
first-
know that the company is
Okay,
Canadian,
so
we know this.
it's conjecture, but I understood it as everything for the first truck was there,
Yeah, just the first one,
just the first truck.
all I've heard about,
So
nothing
Well,
on the second one,
we'll-
so they'll be back.
we need to keep an eye on it and see where that next truck is. Okay.
Aren't they coming together?
No,
No,
6 months apart, I could.
yeah, no, they
June and
weren't coming
December?
together.
Oh, June and
Um,
December.
That was my understanding. We can check. The emergency management or TEMA. Both the new equipment and replacement equipment lines were taken out from,
Equipment, repair and maintenance, the 1700s?
no, that's still in
357?
place. And you may not even see them. They don't have a
Oh.
budget line number in here.
Oh,
They had put in 2 lines on request, and then I believe it was Nelson's recommendation, we were gonna try to fund some with free cash. For capital stabilization, neither of which we have. So, they have both done. And then last is the communications, and,
why is it all zeros?
that is, we used to have a communication center and dispatch ourselves, and so those lines are still in place from when it was our own. Now we outsource it all.
Okay,
And it's outsourced to Patriot
and that's the other services line.
That's the other service.
okay, so
Yeah.
when we have this Patriots, do we just blindly pay our third or our tenth or whatever it is, or do we get itemization so we know what we're getting? Or do we just blindly pay?
I would, the 2 chiefs are on the committee, I believe, so they should be knowing what the details are, but the Patriot will come out with the towns that they service and give an assessment to the towns.
Okay. Oh, that's, building commissioner. Okay, I have a question on the building commissioner.
Okay, yep,
So we have the building commissioner inspector at 80,000 from 58,000. That seems to be, oh no, it's 60, is that a
that's
60?
60.
Oh, okay.
And earlier in the year, 60.
Okay, got it.
6320.
And then we have the other building inspector,
The alternate,
The alternate,
Yeah,
yeah. So why don't we just have one building inspector?
Because he's not a full-time inspector and the alternate inspector fills in when he's not available. Again, if you go back to, does that have the FY 24
No,
budget in there?
no.
If you look up, we have the FY 24 on the top. We used to pay back in FY 24, we paid 74,708 for a building commissioner.
Then we had one, right?
We had one person in the
Eric,
job.
that was Eric.
That was Eric.
Yeah.
And he had an alternate, and that alternate was just over $1,000. So at the time, we were paying 75,800, let's call it.
Mhm.
Now we're paying 70,320 with these two. So they complement each other with the hours, they're in the office and out doing there.
Oh, so this was a reduced,
Overall, it's reduced, rate. Once we lost Eric, we stepped, Rich, stepped in and, that he could do it, but needed the support of the alternate inspector.
and those are contracts, right? Are they renewed every year or are they for?
I don't know what their contract length is. Usually the first contract is 3 years.
Oh, okay. So I think it's 3 years. Okay, so then that together, oh, they have a car?
Vehicle expenses because they're going out.
Oh, to their own cars, I guess.
Yeah. For their own cars, yeah. Again, the alternative is to have them drive here and get another vehicle, but then you're adding insurance and,
Right.
that's the number that we,
And the professional services of 12,000, what was that?
okay, if you, you don't have to know, it's, to increase the printer lease, it's to get the printer lease and the permanent expenses together is the $12,000.
So when we did the incoming.
Yeah.
Revenue, did the permalink incoming come in? On it?
I want to see where it came in. I think it's part of the 2 million revenue,
Oh, okay.
revenue for fees. But we did decrease permalink. It was originally 15,000. If I do the math here, this is about 7,800 that they're paying the permit link, which means if they're only paying 7,800 for permit link, should we have reduced the revenues coming in?
It's kind of a wash, right?
Oh,
If
it's a
the permit
wash,
like
I
numbers
guess,
go
yeah.
up, it's because we're doing more permits, so we'll get the money for that.
Right.
Yeah, but the initial budget had said 15,000.
Mhm.
Now, if you're dropping it to
Right.
8,000, should the revenues drop,
The revenues drop.
that same, it should be a one-to-one relationship,
Yeah.
I would think. In my
Yeah.
math mind. My equals, my.
I think the problem with
both
that
sides
is,
of the equation
well,
have to match.
I think the problem with that question is that it's part of that,
Part of it, and so.
it's part of that 2 million and what other assumptions
and
are
one
in
other-
there
Right,
and
yep.
it's all
we-
kind
we
of,
wanna
that
see
whole
how-
2 million is kind of fuzzy math in a way.
so
Cause it's all kind of guessing what's gonna come
We'd like
in.
to see it broken down.
Yeah.
What's
Oh,
part
yeah,
of the 2,000?
breaking down does help a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's more transparent as far as I'm concerned. So now the office supplies went up to $4,000.
That was for the copier. So they put a copier in there.
I know, but is the printing in the 12,000 part of the 4,000?
The printer, I believe, is the big D-side, what they call it, D-side sheet for
Oh, for the
the
drawings.
drawings.
Yeah, you have to have a huge, big printer for
Right,
that.
I've seen that down there. So,
Yeah, so the copier would be different than the printer printing those.
Was that a new copier there that they were getting?
so they got $16,000 for the printer and the copier.
Yeah.
So, really? Okay.
Printer,
Code
copier,
books.
and the permit link. because that's part.
Oh, Permit Link is in there too.
Is part of the 12,000, yeah.
See, it would be nice if we had a breakdown.
So you want like a breakdown of the accounts receivable separated out?
Kind of, well, I mean, not every single 5 cents, but
But
yeah, I
Yeah.
think we should,
it'd be nice to
Yeah.
know what's coming in.
yeah.
Everything. What the Receipts are, at least for the bigger,
For the
Okay,
big
let's-
items, not every,
You
I never
wanna
line
do like
item.
an audit of certain accounts?
Yes,
Certain accounts, you
I
wanna see
think-
that? We'll talk on the BDA,
So-
again, we're 3 hours, so.
Yeah, we have to
yeah,
go.
when's the auditors coming to do the audit?
They are done, we are in the process of writing the audit report, so we should be getting them usually by June 1st, we get the audit.
You get the audit report?
Well, yeah, we get the audit report, beginning to mid-May, and then June 1st, we usually have the meeting with the.
When do we see it? Do we get it?
In May, yeah, I think.
Okay, so you would know pretty much when they do like an out brief,
What they're.
if they found any,
Discrepancies.
Discrepancies.
Anything that needs.
like, do we have to come up with additional cash?
Good lord.
Yeah, I mean, the first one that this company did, they found a couple of accounts that we had forgotten about, there was some money in there that we could use, so.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah, so, you know.
But how many times can I do that?
Exactly. That's not something they can do all the time, but it, you know, it was just, it was the first time this new company was in, and the old company hadn't found it, so I thought it was good.
Yeah, that is good.
So are we gonna keep going or are we gonna call it a night?
I think we're calling it a night.
I will leave it to you, you know what, let's get to the end of
The BVA,
the building inspector.
Oh, the building inspector.
The building
Okay.
inspector of the line, because that's gonna take us to the end of, public safety.
okay.
So,
Oh, that's a nice place to start.
yeah, it's a big section on the block.
Okay.
And you know, we have gas inspector after this,
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
but,
yeah,
plumbing inspector.
all those inspectors.
oh, yeah.
He went through, they haven't changed it, they're all doing stipends.
Yeah, and that all was the
They
same.
haven't changed
Yeah.
It's
it.
the same,
Yeah.
and they did take some of their professional and technical and drop them in other supplies.
From last year.
To try to help with, you know, get it down to that 625.
Mhm.
Sealer and weights and measures.
They just went away altogether.
Yeah, now what happened with that?
Don't we do that
on the
anymore?
personnel? It used to be, I don't know if you remember, I think it was Eric Alcamine. You'd see his
Oh.
name on.
Oh, yeah,
every
yeah, yeah.
time. But I believe the state does it for us. The state has state,
Oh,
so we can use the state
oh, okay,
Okay,
weights and measures for them to do the work.
okay.
But they left the supplies in there because we're still gonna need town of Townsend
Yeah,
and
right.
labels and all that.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
it's a tiny budget now compared to what I had.
That's a good thing.
Like the inspector,
Mhm.
pretty much the same, the stipends
Yeah.
are staying the same. And again, you know, it's stipends based on the number of permits and how much you spend for
Right.
that. Reduced the professional and technical services a bit. Then you have the animal inspector.
Oh, Sam was the one who had the book, remember? Did they ever do anything about that?
No, not yet. It's kind of like, I believe there was conversations going to be with Pepperell and Ashby and see who they have.
Sure, they could
see if
do
they
it,
wanted to do it. I did some reading on what the animal inspector requirements are. Anyway, it's interesting if you're into understanding rabies, because if there's a rabies incident, you have to capture the animal
Oh,
and then send it for.
well, wouldn't the animal control person do that?
No, that's the animal inspector, animal control is.
They had to go out and count all the cows.
animal control.
Yeah, animal control is, yeah, and we.
So when I call the animal person, which I've done on occasion,
Mhm.
I'm calling the police, whatever.
Animal control.
That's animal control.
That's animal control.
Not the animal
Animal
inspector.
inspector is somebody that goes out and visits the barns and the animals to make sure.
Oh, okay. But the animal control is the one that does the rabies if you get bit.
No, I think he said the animal inspector does that.
Oh,
If it's one of your farm animals.
Oh, if it's one of them.
Oh, this is farm animals.
Yeah,
As opposed to pets.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
the animal control
And
is
it's supposed to be counts to the farm.
lost dogs and meandering dogs.
Right, right.
As
cat
well
and
as horses
tree.
running around the
Well, I called the
somewhere.
animal control
We
person
don't have
for
any real
a
cattle
bird
farms
that
in
couldn't
there, really.
fly.
Yeah.
And that
And they
was,
came,
Well,
the
you know,
the animal
and
control
had a
lady
stray,
came and
Picked it up.
any kind of animal.
picked it up and took it
a
wherever
stray,
until it could,
Oh, she
Big
kept
cat,
it and nursed
little
it back
kid.
to life.
she
like
said
we
that
have
she could
around
take
here.
it somewhere
And it was
until
friendly.
till it,
I would get the
Till it
animal
got better,
control lady out
wherever
there
she
and
took
see
it.
what we're doing about this pussycat. I mean,
yeah,
my
and
wife
then,
is,
the reduction there is they took
Seen
their
the thing.
professional services with, which is if they need,
like the night my favorite horse died, and she was, 10 years when she was on his way out,
do that.
that big.
So we need another
Well, right.
meeting, right?
I guess we do.
Down
And
the
then
direction
the
on
ordinance hasn't
the
changed
South
for
Bend.
No.
And that gets us, parking court gets us to the end of public safety at 9:47.
So we have to go through the rest of these, and then we have to make our recommendations for these things.
For the, yeah, on the warrant.
On war, but not for April, not for the election, but for the war.
For the warrant. Yeah.
So when do we meet again? When do we meet again?
Yeah, I'm just trying to-
So, what?
just trying to take a look and see what we got there. It's not-
I'm very tired.
Okay, here's the calendar.
Why are we tired?
So it's gonna be a long day on Monday, and then the.
That's a voting day.
That's a voting day.
Voting day,
The
yeah.
Board of Selectmen are gonna meet on the 29th. So should we do
Let's meet after that.
the 30th or the 1st, May 1st?
I can't do May 1st.
Okay,
Do the 30th.
April 30th,
What day is it?
that
Wednesday.
is a Wednesday.
Yeah,
30th.
trash day.
Yeah.
Wednesday, the 30th.
I can be here at 6:30, I just wouldn't be here at 6 o'clock.
That's fine. Do you want us to start without you, or do you really need?
Do you wanna be here for,
Well, I had to do
Oh,
the
the
notes,
fun and
but,
excitement.
Oh, the note, she has to do the note, so should we move it to 6:30
can
then?
you do 6:30 and I'd
we
be here?
can start at 6:30. Then maybe I won't just rush, like I was now.
6:30.
Okay,
6:30, I can remember that.
I will,
That's good, 6:30. Are
That'll
you gonna
be
be
more-
okay with that, Dave?
That'll be more
I can do
interesting.
Excuse me?
It'll be more interesting after the
Yeah.
vote.
After the vote, because we'll have more information.
Right, yeah.
We'll know if,
We'll
if
have
the
to-
override passed or not,
Right.
which
Well,
would
yeah.
help.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That would help like 100%.
it doesn't help, it's time to go on vacation.
I mean, just to know one way or another, would-
Yeah, well, I wouldn't. Let's see how you're gonna top it and plan when done.
Oh,
I
I
know
think
that,
it's more-
I knew there were some places that we suggested and they didn't
so
jump, yeah.
it's the 30th right now on the calendar, doesn't have anything posted on it yet, so I'll send out the request to keep going to, have another Zoom meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah. 30 on the 30.
Well, okay, then, at this point, I would entertain the motion to adjourn.
I will move that we adjourn.
I should second.
Okay, we'll give Sam the
Okay,
second.
you can have a second.
Yes.
And what time was we adjourned?
9:05.
9:05, thank you.
Okay, we got a motion to adjourn in a second. We'll just take a voice vote on this.
Mary Jane Churchfield, yes.
Dave Walker, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Jerome DeSantis, yes.
Hey, Carol Hofstas, yes.
Don Hayes, yes.
Thank you, Dawn.
We stand adjourned.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thank you.